morning, Spurs fans. Welcome back to the Irish Hotspur for Match Day Live as we take on Leeds for what will be the last game up until Boxing Day. Sadly, no Mr. Brady here with us today. Has tested positive and is not feeling the best. So, guys, a few well wishes in the chat would probably go a long way for the man on his road to recovery. But we are still joined by Jack Kanicki. Huge effort getting out of bed at 6 a.m. in the morning. And the one and only Kuva. I'm not going to call him Kuva 99. I'm going to call him Kuva Sexy because hopefully it's the return of Kulu Sexy today. Jacko, how are you keeping, my man?
Just doing fine, Dave. Not a lot has happened in the 15 minutes I've been up today, so looking forward to seeing Spurs make my morning, Dave. And it's the last game before the World Cup. Spurs fans are just hoping for at least some sort of, minor send-off that at least we can feel at least somewhat happy about. We want 3 points so that the tabloids aren't all over us and the media isn't all over us. Just looking for 3 points today. Nothing less, nothing more. That's all we need today, Dave. Looking forward to it.
I agree. I really want the 3 points, but Jacko, there's no guarantee it's going to send Spurs fans into the international break happy, that's for sure. Kuva, how are you keeping, my man?
For the first time this week, I'm not feeling angry. I don't know, something about it feels like last day of the season sort of thing with this international break coming up. I just want to see the team play today like it bloody matters. It feels like it didn't on Wednesday. I'll just something to cheer at. I'll take any result that comes as long as we put in a proper effort and there's something to watch. That's it. At the end of the day, I've got to be excited about what I see.
Yeah. No, look, hopefully if Kulu does return, maybe Richarlison, they're talking about return to the starting lineup as well. Hopefully we can get back to that 3-4-3 and play some good football. It's not going to be easy today. No, it's just not. It's not. Leeds, we know what they're like. But look, we're going to welcome some people into the chat. Let's see who is up early with us, who's had their coffee and who's ready to talk. Tottenham, we've got Wembley first one in. He must have had a double espresso this morning. He says, good morning, boys. Personally, I am looking forward to a break from Spurs games. So who, in reality, who plays up front today? Harry will be there, of course, but only in spirit. Frankly, I won't blame him. Look, with Harry Kane, I mean, it was said during the week that he's tired, this, that, and the other, and it's kind of like, I agree. I don't know how much you're going to expect these players to put in with the World Cup kicking off next week. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, and it'd be interesting to see whether it's a team just at Tottenham or whether it occurs all around the Premier League today. It'd be very, very interesting. But look, I think I speak for everybody. I think we all need a break, if I'm being brutally honest. Emotionally, mentally, fatigued. I need a week. I won't speak for Jacko. I don't know where Jacko's at. I know Kuva just wants a break. There's loads of people around that just want this to come to an end for a little while. Break, recuperate, regather ourselves and go back again. But do not worry. Over the World Cup, we will still have plenty of Tottenham content coming out because, as you know, being a Tottenham fan, it's never a dull day. So keep that in mind. We've also got Mia W. Big up Mia W. Morning, everyone. Good to see you, Mia. Hope you're keeping well, my dear. Hope you're keeping well. Pumped up for today's game. John of the Cheese Room says, morning all. On the train up to London, Victoria, to head to the lane. Come on, you Spurs. A big up, John. Hope you're keeping well, my man. Make sure you enjoy that game. Also, make sure you encourage yourself and everybody else around you to sing Antonio's name loud and proud today. Let him know we still love him heading into that World Cup break. Also, there's Ollie Freeman and a few Irish boys heading over today. So, guys, make sure you enjoy the game. Same thing, sing Antonio's name loud and proud.
Remember, you're on Hill Messi watch as well, John. You're on Hill Messi watch today, so take it seriously.
And also, you're on dire abuse today if he fucks up again today. I can't handle it, so make sure you give him some. Shout out to Brian C. Socrates and Philip Brady, who were supposed to go today. But believe it or not, they actually sacrificed this trip to make the AC Milan one in February. So huge effort from the boys there as well. Dark Sun G's in the building. Big up, Dark Sun G. Good to see you, brother. Jacko, he says, from what I saw, Leeds have some injuries plus late fitness calls. So we should be able to win. With hopefully Kulu, Richie, Pierman, Hoiberg, Kane, Bentancur, etc. Wolves beat Gunners, please. Well, what I'll do, Jack, quickly, I'll just give the injury news and everything I need
pull
to
it up, Dave.
What I'll do is then we'll answer Dark Sung G super chat. So give me 1 second there, Dark Sung G, my man.
Long list. He's right,
Tottenham
Dave.
Yeah, it is a long list. Tongue twister. So, of course, we've got Romero out injured for Tottenham today. Sonny out for Tottenham today, but is going to the World Cup. That was confirmed this morning. So, huge congratulations to Sonny. For Leeds, Dark Sun G, they got Stuart Dallas, Patrick Bamford, Matthias Klitsch, Mr. Forshaw, Sinistera, Joe Gelhardt, and Jack Harrison, who are doubts. But look, that's a long injury list, Dark Sun G. And then everything that everybody needs to know then, of course, we are at home at the best stadium in world football, and I can confirm it is the best. The kickoff is at 3 p.m. today. Now, in the referee room, I've never heard of this guy. He better not be wanked today. He actually better be good. But his name is Michael Salisbury or Salisbury, or whatever you want to call it. It's a real tongue twister for 11 o'clock in the morning. And in the VAR room, we've got this Muppet, Paul Tierney, who has been very inconsistent in the VAR room for Tottenham all season long. All I'm asking for today is the right call. Just on that, actually, did anyone see the video of the guys, I think it was in Greece, ordering Deliveroo to the VAR room? And it was caught on camera during the game where they're in Deliveroo to the VAR room. And then we wonder why we're taking 20 minutes to see a decision or some things aren't reviewed because someone's too busy tipping Deliveroo.
They're wiping burger grease off the screens, Dave. That's what it is. They're wiping burger grease and kebab grease off the screens, Dave. They're just having a good old time up there. Jeez,
it's a joke.
Shocking.
It's a joke, you know.
It's only an hour and a half. How hungry are they, Dave? We don't even eat during the games.
Oh man, I couldn't believe it when I got sent the video. I couldn't believe it. And then, guys, if you want to watch the game, well, if you're in the UK and Ireland, you're privileged yet again not to be able to watch it because these guys can't sort themselves out and make sure they cover every single game. But over in the USA, it is on Peacock TV, and over in Canada, it's on Fubo TV as well. So, guys, that's the injury list. That is absolutely everything you guys need to know. And then Jacko Dark Sun G did say, from what I saw, Leeds have some injuries and late fitness. Yeah. So we should be able to win today.
I think we should be able to win today just simply because it's two of the worst defenses in the league going at it, Dark Sun G. I think Leeds' defense has been absolutely dreadful this season. Part of that, I think, has to do with the actual quality of players they have back there. Part of that just has to simply do with Jesse Marsch. I mean, the guy has never really been known for having very watertight defenses. He's very kind of gung-ho, you could say, about the way that he goes about it, and he leaves a very kind of exposed backline. The big issue probably for him today, though, Dark Sun G, is the majority of those injuries are not really in the defense. They're actually up in the attack, where you would say Leeds' strength is. Most of their strength, I think, is up in those forwards, is up in that kind of midfield area. The likes of, I think, Sinistera has been a really good signing for them. He's had some injury issues, but ever since he has come on for them, I think he's scored some good goals, and he had a good patch of form, I think, for a little bit when he was kind of coming into things. Jack Harrison is one, I think, they're more dependable players this season. Him having kind of a late fitness test, at least we know, means he's not totally 100%. Let's be honest, Patrick Bamford has been completely useless this season, Dark Sun G. I kind of wish they started him, and I kind of wish he was probably fully fit. But a lot of those guys, I think Joe Gelhardt as well, he likes to throw on too. He doesn't, just spare him minutes or give him Jed Spence minutes, Jesse Marsch. He actually gives Joe Gelhardt a lot of minutes there. These are really important players for them, and it's actually a blessing for us, I have to admit, Dark Sun G, a huge blessing, because I would say their strength is more in their forwards and kind of using those forwards and also just interchanging. They have a lot of depth up there, whereas in the defense, I would say, it doesn't really matter. They're going to concede goals. But yeah, I would say where their strength is where those injuries are, Dark Sun G.
And hopefully, actually, it's a shame Somerville isn't out injured, actually. He scored a few important goals for them lately. But Dark Sun G, hopefully we do see the return of Kulu and Richie today as well, brother. Big yourself up, my man. And I really appreciate the support. What time is it over there, Dark Sun G? Let me know if it's early or late for you. Is it beer o'clock or is it Weetabix time? Let me know, my man. We've got Dan Coy says, morning, everyone. Big up, Dan. We've got Wayne Bonner says, good morning, my fellow Spurs sufferers. Hope you're all well. Honestly, it's like an AA meeting in here, Wayne. Beat yourself up, my man. Great to see you. Ian Cook says, good morning. Big up, Ian Cook. Great to see you. Aaron THFC, everywhere we go. Big yourself up. Elias Rotis says, greeting from sunny Cyprus. Big up, my man. Cyprus is a nice country. Very nice country.
Beautiful.
Jack Bloom 22 says, good morning, all Spurs fans. Big up, Jack Bloom. Leon M96 Coy says, morning, all on my way to London at the moment for the game. Hopefully it's a worthwhile trip. Well, Leon, hopefully it is, my man. Hopefully it's worthwhile for everybody making the effort to get there today. Big yourself up, Leon. Meet up with John the Cheese Room. Let us know how you get on. Alpesh Patel says happy Cappy Chappies. Big up, my man, Alpesh.
3 caps, very happy. Big up, Alpesh.
Stephen Cartwright says Mr. Brady is probably the only Spurs fan who is positive. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's kind of funny. James Richmond says, "Come on, use Lily Whites." Big up, my man. Who else have we got here? Phil says, "It's game day. Let's get this win before the World Cup and take it into the second half of the season. 3-0 Spurs for me. Come on, you Spurs." Big up, Phil. Good to see you. The Bury Hotspur says, "Big up, guys. Get well, Mr. Brady. Let's go smash these. Come on, you Spurs." Adrian Chia says, "Big up, lads. Most of our back line are going to the World Cup." I couldn't believe it. I just can't believe Dyer got picked. I mean, he done everything he could not to get picked. Literally done everything he could not to get picked, and he still gets picked. If I was an England fan going into this World Cup, I'd look at that back line. Maguire, Shaw,
it was almost like
confident.
It was almost like Moonhead was a living indictment of what Maguire would have been if Maguire was playing week in, week out for a team. That's what it felt like Eric Dyer was turning into. He was turning into his own version of Slaphead. Yeah.
I heard you're delighted with Dyer going to the World Cup. I heard you had a little party.
Absolutely, because him and Maguire together means England get knocked out earlier and Harry Kane's more rested when he comes back.
Honestly, Whirlpool are going to have a field day. 2 fridges at centre-back. They won't be able to believe themselves with the sponsorships. But big up, Adrian Chia. We've got Welsh guys says, "Big up, lads. Please can Spurs win before the break? Not having an IPA to see if it makes a difference." Look, you've got to try every bit of superstition possible right now, Welsh guys.
That's a sacrifice. Look what they're making you do, Welsh guy. Look at what they're making you do.
So Jack was about to get excited here. It's not Kavice, it's Kavije. Says, "Saw start that Conte after first year has more points than Klopp and Guardiola." Yeah. Look, that's an interesting cut. This is interesting.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Interesting. Paddy Harnett says, "A break as well needed, and after today, it's time to pull the piss out of the England fans for the World Cup." Big up, Paddy. It's going to be fun for sure. Dark Soul G says, "Wolves got a good manager, in my opinion. They will be scary." Lopetegui, guys. Are we scared of Lopetegui?
I like Lopetegui. If anything, from what I heard, and I think Wolves Finland, confirmed this, they were actually kind of looking at him since like 2016. They've wanted Lopetegui all along. He originally was I think he's been at Real Madrid. He's been the manager of Spain. Obviously won, I think, Europa League with Sevilla, if not more than one Europa League with Sevilla. Very, I think, quality manager. I think most of his days, if not all of his days, have really pretty much just been in La Liga. So making that jump from La Liga to the Premier League certainly will be a very big change for him. But I think the only reason it's taken so long is I think he's recovering from the loss of his father or someone like that in his family. So it's just taken a really long time for him to sort of kind of get back into football and get back into the, fighting shape of things. But Darkson G, I've always really liked Lopetegui. He actually also made Reguilón the player that he is. Reguilón's best days were when Lopetegui actually had control of him. So I really like Lopetegui. I think he'll be good for Wolves for sure.
Kuva, think Lopetegui will do a good job at Wolves?
Yeah, I think he will. He knows how to get the team playing football. The time at Sevilla really stands out for me. They're just great to watch. I think Wolves have got a lot of talent there, but it's untapped at the moment. I think good manager in, cutting edge up front. I think they could be flying.
Yeah. Look, we'll wait and see. No matter who's in charge, they still can't buy goals. So we'll wait and see, Dark Sun G. It's all about putting the ball in the back of the net at the end of the day. Big up, my man. Really appreciate the support. Wolves Finland, let Dark Sun G know if we should be scared with Lopetegui in charge of your club. Says Harris Army, Dave, Jack, Kuva, good vibes. Spurs, is time to bounce back and get 3 points on board today and recharge your batteries. World Cup break. Quad is gone, but there's a lot to play for. Well, it's now, what is it? The triple, the quadruple.
The treble, the treble is on, Dave.
Yeah, the treble, that's it, the treble.
Much easier to say than, the quad or, just the treble. It's a bit more stylish. 3 trophies is enough as it is. So, yeah, Wolves, decide to make it easier on ourselves.
Nah, it's quad or bust for me. It's all over.
Big up, Joseph Manning. Good to see you, my man. Spaz Rafar says, hope my 100% win record remains intact with the visit to the stadium
Come on,
today with
Spaz.
Spaz. I really hope so, my man. Big yourself up and make sure you enjoy it. Last game for 6 weeks. Go absolutely Buckeye in the stands, my man. Big yourself up. Kev Williams says, big up everyone. The World Cup is affecting every aspect of football, especially the players' terrible decision to award it to Qatar. Come on, you Spurs. I encourage everybody to watch the Netflix documentary
The FIFA
on
one,
FIFA and on it all, to be honest with you. It's actually it's mind opening, mind boggling. And if you watch that and then you try and come back and tell me VAR isn't corrupt as well, I don't know what to say.
Got to still do the same joke. Do you find that in the crime section?
Richardson, the Pigeon TV says, hello, Dave and Jack.
Come
Big
on,
yourself
Richie.
up, my man. Great to see you. And then big up Paul Kim says, stretching and warming up for Saturday morning match in the US. Well, Paul, you enjoy yourself, my man. Hopefully you get the win. Channel your inner Harry Kane, my man. Big yourself up. Whereabouts in the US are you playing? Let us know. And then we have Jabulani says, when is the next episode with you guys and Sava? This Sunday or tomorrow, my man. Today's Saturday, so that will be tomorrow over on Sava's channel. So be myself, Sean, Kuva, Sava. Should
Perfect
be good.
timing.
We've all had a lot to say this week. So should be interesting to say the least. And then Dark Son G says, all we have to do is beware of Somerville and we win. Yeah, 100%. This guy comes off the bench, scores a few winners, injects a bit of pace into things. Might get the start today. We'll wait.
He'll definitely start today. But
we've got to keep him quiet. Well, if he starts and he's running down our right-hand side, I mean, he's going to get a lot of joy with his pace.
His name is very fun to say, Crescencio Somerville, one of the funner names to say, I think, in the Premier League as well. He's looked good, I think, in spells, Dark Sun G, and they've given him the number 10, which speaks to the confidence that they have in the kid. I mean, he's been brought up from the academy, if I'm not mistaken, too. So giving a kid the number 10 at Leeds and all that just speaks to the confidence they clearly have in the guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully, Dark Sun G, we can nullify him. Big yourself up, my man. And then we've got Kev Williams. He says he's been in the hospital the last few days. I hope you're keeping well, Kev. Let me know everything's okay, buddy. But big yourself up, brother. But look, we are going to crack into it, guys. I'll keep welcoming people in as we go along. But we have a lot to talk about, and I don't really want to skip out on anything at all. So what we'll do is we'll start with Jacko, and then we'll keep this moving. Jack, how important is it that we bounce back today after midweek's Carabao Cup defeat with a win today? And if we fail to bounce back with a victory and end up losing to Leeds today, do you see more fans turning Conte out and raising question marks on his reign so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'll definitely keep the faith in Conte still, Dave, but I mean, I can't blame them if that were to be the case, that more and more people would start to really question Conte and turn on Conte, because at a certain stage, you do have to look at sort of the whole pie, and you do have to look at sort of the whole picture and then see, you know, what is going wrong, perhaps what's maybe being maybe done wrong by Conte, what's being done wrong by the players. So definitely, I think there would be more pressure on Conte. And so how important is it to win it today, Dave? Absolutely massive for Conte. I think it's massive for any of the doubters that he's already, had or developed. Also, some of these players who we basically already kind of given up on entirely. I think we aren't going to really expect much of them today, even if they did have a good performance. I don't know if it will really make up for anything that they've done over this past month, but for their own reputation, for their own kind of let's say, mental well-being going into this World Cup, it's certainly a great opportunity for them to get some respect back. I just think this is absolutely massive, because Spurs are in horrible form right now. Fans are really, just, I think, kind of starting to lock horns. I think we're all kind of getting really frustrated with the performances. We're all kind of needing to come up with reasons for what is going wrong, because simply as you can't ignore it, there is something that seems to be going wrong at this moment in time. And if we get 3 points today, surely it doesn't fix anything. Surely, probably there will still be the same problems, but it definitely just takes a little bit of pressure off, almost gives you a bit of breathing room, gives you that sort of breath of fresh air for a bit. And I think that's what Conte needs, Dave. I think that's what these players certainly need. I honestly think that's what the fans need too, because we're also at this moment in time feeling very intense and very unsure about this team.
I reckon if we don't win today, I reckon it's going to be a dicey World Cup of Spurs fans. I think it's just going to be constant noise and speculation over Conte's future,
Yeah.
contract, transfer window, etc. So I do think a win today could alleviate that a little. But let's wait and see what happens, because I mean, I'll be honest, that back line did not play for Conte during the week. I went back, I've watched the game, I've watched some of the goals. First goal, Davison Sanchez does not cover himself in glory. Look, it starts with Matt Doherty caught between two minds, caught in no man's land, played around. And he doesn't sprint back. Go back and watch it. He doesn't sprint back going, oh my God, there's danger on my goal. I think I might actually sprint. No. What he does is he just jogs back. Davison Sanchez, basics of defending your top. Show them outside away from goal. What does he do? Show him inside. And he fails to put in a challenge. He's just lazy. Second goal, Dyer mirage through midfield, loses the ball. Basuma picks it up, recycles it, goes out to Sessegnon. Now, you think after Dyer losing the ball, first instinct, oh, holy shit, who's covering the back? There's going to be a gaping hole where I'm supposed to be. I better get myself up off the ground and get back there. No, he doesn't do it. Ball goes out to Sessegnon. Sessegnon then loses the ball in the crucial position where Langley is running on the outside to show him some support. We're at 1-0 this stage. He loses the ball. They break on us. And when you see them break, Dyer's sitting there doing this with his hand, complaining about his finger. Now, I'm sorry. I don't care what your pain, what pain you're in. But it's called sacrifice. Get fucking back. Get to
worry about it later.
Until the ball goes out of play and then goes down. Doesn't do it. Sits there moaning, rolling around, crying. Then Sanchez can see Surridge over his shoulder when he's running back. The cross comes in, and he's rooted to the spot. He doesn't even jump. And that just shows to me that some of these guys at the back line have given up on their Conte, and I will not let them sacrifice a manager like that. It's absolutely woeful and dreadful.
Come on, David, be fair. I mean, a finger injury to Dyer, that takes away a big part of his game.
Yeah, because he can't point and moan and cry.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Scott Barden says, 11 p.m. start here in Western Australia. Need to show some fight to win. Big yourself up, my man. What beer are you on, buddy? Let me know. We've got Shem Tan says, hello to the Flat Cap Army. Hopefully we have a good game and we see a team that believes they can win and does. Come on, you Spurs. I think that's
Shem.
Absolutely important, my man. Big up, Shem. A big up, Derek Hutchinson. Good to see you, man. Says after the crap that was served up Wednesday, Spurs 1, Leeds 2. I don't blame you, my man. I do not blame you. Big up, HMQ says, thank God we're at home today. Wouldn't give us a chance in this way. Carl Simpson says, big up, gents. Hope you're all well as well. Coys says, big up, guys. Let's hope you big yourself up. But look, Kuva, we haven't scored in the first half of any of the past. I meant to say to you, it's easy to understand why Spurs fans are dissatisfied right now and with how things have gone. From October onwards, we have lost 4 out of our last 7 games in all competitions. And in all 7, the first half has been absolute dog shit. And we have failed to score in the first 45 minutes in 8 games running now. Is it important the fans get behind the team and also sing Antonio loud and proud today to let him know he is wanted despite a minority calling for his head?
Yeah, I mean, if you go into the ground, you still would have backed the team. Otherwise, making it even harder for him. But yeah, I mean, I'm one of the ones that's disgruntled about the way we're playing football. It's not even so much the results; it's the way we're doing things. That Bournemouth, the Forest result midweek, that and the way to United games, there was absolutely nothing to take from those games. Nothing. That's just unacceptable. How can we be playing like this? For me, I'll put the pressure on Conte because I don't like the style of football we're playing. It's the results. He's been doing okay. I mean, if we're looking at success, I genuinely don't believe any manager's going to come here and win anything. Not with this ownership. So, if you're looking purely for success, stick with Conte. It's as good as anybody you're going to get. For me, I've given up on all that now. I just want to see some football worth watching. Bit of excitement, bit of attacking play, something to cheer because we're falling further and further behind. The ones we were keeping up with City and Arsenal, now they're pulling away. All the pack below us is much closer now. Games in hand. Even Chelsea in 7th, only 5 points behind with a game in hand. It's not looking so rosy anymore. Take what we can get. I just want something to cheer. Just a bit of fun for the team. Play like they're enjoying it. Play like it matters. It's very little to ask as far as I'm concerned, but we don't seem to do it. So let's hope this is the big turnaround this time, because like every time so far this season we're supposed to bounce back, we don't.
What would you say to Jeff Ives?
Sorry?
What would you say to Jeff Ives here, Covey? Says, if the fans turn on Conte, then it won't be Levy and Enoch to blame. If he leaves, absolutely ridiculous attitude to the best manager since Birkinshaw.
Well, how's he the best manager since Birkinshaw if he hasn't won anything yet? It's on paper. It doesn't mean it's going to work out here, does it? We're hoping he does, but I'm not seeing it. I don't see what the direction we're taking. I don't see where the improvements are really coming now. We've stuttered and we're starting to fall away now. Beginning of the season, I think the results were flattering us. We were getting away with some daylight robbery. A few of us were saying at the time, this isn't sustainable. Now we're seeing it. It wasn't. I do not believe in where we're going at the moment. Perhaps he can turn it around. I just can't see it. I think this day is really important for me because I want to see something. I want to see something I can restore some belief in the team. At the moment, there's nothing. I feel like we're going to lose again today. Till I saw how many injuries Leeds have got, that's giving me a bit of hope. But yeah, we're just not in a good place at the moment. I don't think the manager really believes in the players. I don't think the players believe in what they're doing. Fans are starting to tell. Of course, we're getting restless. It's just some of this football's been absolutely diabolical to watch, and yet we can play a second half like we did against Liverpool. So we are capable of doing it. We just don't. Yeah. I mean, where's the blame there? Is that the players? Is that the manager? A bit of both.
Do you know what, Kuva? I'll be honest. I blame the same individuals. I keep saying this until that back line is rotated, right? People don't actually understand how important a defense is in football. Now, I was sitting there all summer long saying, we need defenders, we need defenders. The amount of people that came in and had a go at me saying, no, you don't know football. You're seeing it wrong. We need an attacking mid. We need a creative mid, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of like, but goals was never our problem at Tottenham. We always score goals. We all have players capable of scoring goals, but we can't keep them out. And it's coming to that point now where these guys have been here so long. Pochettino got sacked because they were moaning they were overworked. Dyer then in the resulting documentary with Jose Mourinho asks him, hang on, Dyer, you're a good player. Why weren't you getting picked on the potch? Instead of him going, oh, well, come on, I had Moussa Dembele to compete with, Wanyama to compete with, Toby Ann to compete with. I'm not at that level. I'm not good enough. What does he say? I don't know. And then he goes on to proceed by saying, oh, with my injuries and stuff, Pochettino wanted me in rehab for too long, basically being overworked. Dyer didn't want to be in rehab that long, this, that, and the other. You got Matt Doherty under Jose Mourinho. Oh, he had faith in me, showed faith in me. And the journal goes, why didn't you perform? Do you know what his answer was? I don't know. So if this is all you're getting back from these guys, excuses, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. And every manager that goes to sit there and says, oh, well, he's had faith in me. He's put trust in me. It's an issue on them guys, not anybody else. It's on them. We've seen time and time again. They can be up here 1 minute and then down here the next minute. And this has to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is by getting in a decent backline here. We're talking about modern football. You have to progress the ball out from the back, which we can't do. It's 50-50 whether we do it. We start to do it. We start to get a foothold in games. Then the ball starts coming out a lot slower from the back line, which allows them to get 11 men behind the ball. Anyone that's played the game knows how hard it is to try and find gaps and maneuver your way through 11 people sitting in a half. And then also, you're getting balls where they're trying to play them out. They're either going back to the opposition keeper, out into the stands, or into a suicide pass into the field where they see they're already pressing our guy, but it's still given anyway. And it's kind of like, you can't progress and play this modern way of football and keep possession if you don't have players at the back line to do it. But then also, for the double whammy, not only are they giving away possession, but they're also making rookie errors. So it's kind of like compounding misery with misery.
Look at also some of the goals we have conceded, though, recently. While we aren't a team that normally has a very high back line, let's say we did play a very progressive brand of football. The goals we have conceded recently have been when our defenders were actually much higher up the pitch. Examples being like, look at the Bournemouth counterattack goals that we suffered, Dave. Each and every time that was when we were deep in Bournemouth's half, and then they just pinned it up to the likes of, I think it was probably Solanke and Philip Billing. They just pinned Dyer and Sanchez every single time and just spun them, and it just was too easy. The fact that Bournemouth were able to counterattack us so easily with a high line. Then you saw the games of Everton. Remember some of the chances they had when we were able to give up the ball with being really high up the pitch. And you look at the goal that Dyer gave away to the likes of Newcastle, or the goal that Dyer even just gave away recently to the likes of Liverpool, are all moments when our defense is actually quite high up the pitch. So if we were a team that decided to be camped and buried deep in the opposition half, we're still going to be making the same mistakes in my book.
Yeah. Good super chat from Jory here. I just noticed.
We'll get to that now. Just for 1 second, I just want to say Sanchez is a disgrace to South American defenders. Just big up the Irish Hotspur. Absolutely love that name, my man. Love the effort you went to as well. Legacy fan THFC since 79 says, question: does the fact their shit players don't know their shit mean they lose faith in the manager as they can't see it's their fault? Look, what I will say to you is, right, Sanchez is just a complete and utter donkey, waste of time, doesn't really say anything, doesn't get any interviews because he's so crap. That shows you everything you need to know. When it comes to Davies, he was in charge of getting Nuno sacked. He actually went to Levy himself to get rid of the manager. Now I'm kind of sitting there, this guy's been back up for a long, long time. How does he have the power to go to Daniel Levy and get a manager sacked? It's not like he's one of the starting players. He is now because of lack of investment. You've got Dyer. Now, many people say, get Poch back in here. Now, if you think Poch is working with Dyer, who ran to Jose Mourinho to tattletale on Poch, forget about it. Absolutely forget about it. Dyer has, and I've gone back, I've done a lot of research on this because I'm going to put out a video. The quotes coming out from Dyer after every manager, you see the same thing. In fact, take your mind back to Leeds at back end a couple of seasons ago. He made, 2 errors for the goals? Do you know what he said after that game? After he made 2 errors, by the way, I get an unfair tag put on me by Spurs fans about mistakes, this, that, and the other. And it's unfair, kind of unfair. I mean, you made 2 mistakes that day. Oh, guess what? And they're still continuing, even though you also came out and said, and this is continuous with Dyer, I need to perform better. I need to do better. It's all I keep hearing. Well, just fucking do it. Also, you know, this is a guy that is just complains about absolutely everything. Get him gone. It's everybody else's fault but this guy's. He can make mistakes and he's still going to sit there and tell you it's not me. You know, it just quotes coming from these guys are just an absolute joke, and we put up with it. But big up THFC fan, big yourself.
Yeah, I'm a big Pochettino fan, but you're right. He wouldn't get anything out of Dyer. He moved Dyer from central defence because he wasn't good enough. Got him into defensive midfielder. Eventually, he realised he's not good enough for that either. He dropped in. Dyer was a backup for Pochettino. Yeah. Now he's a first-team regular. It's all part of this big concoction we've got of failure at the moment. We got a manager who wants to play one way with a team that can't play that way. Yeah. Then we've got a director of football who hasn't addressed properly addressed the defence, which is the weakest part, and a chairman that's overseeing all of this and doesn't seem to realise that there's a problem. We've got no direction from the top, and it's filtered down through the team. Every part is dysfunctional at the moment. Yeah. So for me, it's not about winning anything because I don't believe we can. For me, the whole Conte thing is just about I want to see football that I enjoy watching. At least have that.
But the thing is, Coover, this is the thing. We're not going to have it until these guys are out there. We can't keep possession long enough to play nice football, to play attractive football. We just can't. Just cannot. But look, we've got a few super chats to get to, and we'll get a bit more into Antonio Conte. I just want to say, big up Killing Goobens all the way from Clare, my man. Big up John Fitzpatrick, Simon Cohen. Great to see you guys. Philip Brady is in here as well. He says, just one correction about the coverage, Dave. here in Ireland, Spurs? Oh, it's on Premier Sports. Nice. So anybody in Ireland, I think you can actually get it in the UK as well. It's on Premier Sports too if you want to watch that game. But Kuva Jory says, and this is to you, my man, he says, Kuva, never let a good crisis go to waste. If the back line is exposed again today, it's yet more leverage for the Italian duo in January. It's one way of looking at it.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. See, this is the reason why I think Conte's pointless in being here, because I don't think we are going to do anything about it in January. I think what was the last one we were linked with? The I've forgotten the Russian-sounding name.
Malinowski.
Malinowski, that was it. That's the sort of player we're linked with. I can believe that because see the price quoted at about 15 million. That I can understand us going for. But going for quality defenders to replace the back line at the moment, not a chance. We'll just wing it and it'll be the same as it always has been. I'll just no faith in the way the club's being run. There's no. What's the point in Conte being here? I mean, I used the analogy the other day of it's like setting up a Formula One team, getting Lewis Hamilton in as your driver, and then expecting him to go round in a Ford Focus. It's just like.
But you know what, though? Like, this is what I keep saying to people. Like, we keep saying, oh, like, it's the style of football, and if we're not going to show any ambition, there's no point of having him here. But, like, we also have to remember this, like, we're in the middle of a rebuild, and, like, we can't keep hiring and firing managers every single season because the proof is in the pudding. You're only going to end up going one way, and eventually it'll end up catching you up and being relegated. And we've at some stage you've got to stick tight under a manager, and it's not going to be easy. There are going to be periods where things aren't going well until he gets in a squad that is fully his, or until he gets in defenders that he wanted in the summer. Like, we can't forget this. He has called for defenders in here during the summer. He just didn't get them. And for me, I think right now we have to go through the pain, but come out the other side, give him a few more players that he wants. I think times will get better.
Yeah.
Let's hope so. I mean, it was supposed to in the summer, wasn't it? That was supposed to be a big transfer window, and I thought it was pretty disappointing. But let's hope the message is getting through. Somehow this Levy and Paratici acquisitions dream team is going to do something. I think January becomes massive, doesn't it? And I think you're right saying at the beginning of the show, we just need this World Cup to just chill out and just do something else for a while.
I bet Jory wishes Conte and Paratici maybe were suspended or something. So that means they would have to sit behind Levy and just be in behind his ear all day, kind of like the Marseille game for this one, Jory. But unfortunately, he's going to be on the sidelines, so he can't be in Daniel Levy's ear for this one. I guess it's just going to have to be Paratici. But Paratici sits on the bench too, so maybe he's going to have to take one for the team and be in Daniel Levy's ear all game today. Big up, Jory.
Yeah, well, yeah, I hope so. Hopefully, Conte was in his ear against Marseille, sitting there going, "Oh, fucking die! How does he expect me to use him?" That'd be nice. But big up, Jericho. Really appreciate the support, my man. I hope you are keeping well, buddy. We've got Adrian Chia says we need Conte as he's the only manager that stands up to Levy. Look, for me, I'm still Conte in. I'll be honest, I'm never going to change my mind on any manager that I deem good enough to be here. And can't forget, every Spurs fan wanted this guy in. Even before we got Nuno, everyone was sitting there. Why don't we get Conte? It doesn't show ambition, blah, 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 blah. Now we've got Conte. People don't want him. It's mind-boggling for me. But for me, yeah. I think we've got to stick by the guy. I think you've got to back him because you're not going to see any better. People are going to say, they're going to sell you the dream. Let's get in Poch. Let's get in a manager and play better progressive football. Newsflash. Ain't happening when you got guys who are outdated. The game has passed them by. They're not
or even the transfer market.
In order to play nice football, you have to be able to keep and play out from the back under pressure and keep possession and have guys that can play football. Can't do it. So no matter what manager comes in, and by the way, people say Poch. I get he played nice football at Tottenham, but he since went on to PSG. He had Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, and he played counter-attacking football.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the answer either. People forget that. People gloss over that. 3 best forwards in the world played counter-attacking football.
I think to be fair, everybody struggles at PSG. That's a poison chalice, that one.
No, but you can't.
But Tuchel's team looked a lot better. I think Tuchel's team looked a lot better than Poch's. And Poch's team was just better than Tuchel's. Another thing, too, is I think Conte, Dave, just quickly, Conte is one that's also going to keep, at least in my opinion, if we want to keep Daniel Levy slightly more accountable when it comes to the transfers and not have him fall into the bad habits that we know he likes to do, I think Antonio Conte is going to be one of the few managers that will put pressure on him and will challenge those bad habits than, let's say, a Pochettino would, or maybe another manager would.
Despite me being a Pochettino fan as well, now isn't a good time for him to come here.
Yeah,
he needs a young, energetic team that are happy to take on board his ideas. That's not this team at the moment.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, true. James Richmond says, come on, you Spurs. Good show at the Irish Hotspurs. Really appreciate that, my man. Big up, Jamesy boy. Really good to see you. Let me know if you're going to the game today, my man. But big yourself up. Big up, Boner as well. Or Batter says, big up, everyone. And then we've got Jory again. He says, if we just get an average backline with a bit of pace, Conte can have the midfield and attack on the front foot instead of covering the backline. And Jack, this is what you were alluding to. You're like, and I think there's some merit in what you said, because we're already chasing games a lot of the time. So we are a lot higher up the pitch, and you can see it. They just can't defend. Like, Dyer's engaging on the halfway line and dropping back to his 6-yard box where people are running at.
We also just don't have defenders, I think, Jory, that can win those sort of one-on-one battles when we are deep in the opposition half. If you remember, every single time it felt like Kiefer Moore got the ball, it was just so easy for him just to hold it up, spin Sanchez, spin Dyer, even spin Longley, and be able to go from there. I actually think Longley is sadly still the best defender at the moment that we actually have available, which really does speak to the actual quality of defenders we have back there, Jory. Another thing, too, is that if we do want to, as fans, have a much higher line, Dyer especially really does struggle, I think, at tracking back. As we saw, he barely tracked back to save a goal off the line when it was his own fault against Newcastle. Imagine him tracking back when it's actually a counterattack. The likes of Simicon actually makes sense then if we were to go after a guy like him. I think much more athletic than the average center back. If we want to get rid of Sanchez too, Jory. And Sanchez did offer, I think, when he was slightly competent, he did offer that sort of, recovery pace, that guy that could track back after somebody. Right now, he's just completely useless because he can't win any tackle whatsoever. But it is nice maybe to have a much more athletic center back there. And I think Simicon could do that job for us. There's another center back I think we've been rumored with slightly recently that I think could also do the job for us. We just need more progressive, modern center backs. And I do mean more modern center backs back there, Jory, that can be able to play this sort of system. Also, the back three. With the way the back three has been used nowadays with a variety of coaches, you do need just better, more athletic, just simply better footballers in the back three. And that's what we need, Jory. And I think Simicon, plenty of other players will be exactly what we need. We just need the more modern center back for that back three to work.
I think you can actually get away with slower centre backs playing a high line, provided you've got enough pressure on the ball.
Provided they're good on the ball.
So it's all about the pressing up front then. But some of our players are getting on a bit. Kane isn't going to press like he used to when he was in his early 20s. We're just not set up for that way anymore. So need to find another way. So I agree. The bit of pace in that back line will make a big difference. But, it'll make some difference. The odd thing is Sanchez used to be really good on these one-on-one situations. You could argue it used to be the only thing he was good at. And even that's out of his game now, it seems.
It just feels like every defender struggles now at even winning any of these moments when we are deep in their half, when the team starts counterattacking us. Usually, you just rely on your defender to be able to win that battle, just be able to win either with the physical battle or just read the pass, intercept, step in front. But it just feels like we're so exposed anytime the opposition get the ball because we can't rely on our defenders to intercept. We can't rely on our defenders to read the game, and we can't rely on them to really, stand toe-to-toe with the average striker in the Premier League. The average striker in the Premier League will just make them look silly or out-muscle them, in my opinion.
And how many times have they been caught in no man's land as well?
Exactly.
Caught between making a decision, which automatically means they're caught out of position. It's ridiculous. But, as Spurs fans, I get, you might love some of these guys, but ask yourself an honest, serious question. Dyer, a backup. Davies, backup. Sanchez, backup. Doherty, backup. Session, backup. If these guys are so good, they've been attainable from Tottenham because they've been backups. Why has no one come in and bought them? Why has no one come in and put a bid for these?
Wages.
Not only
we bump the wages up of bang average players all the time, don't we? So we can't sell them on. Why would they want to go if they're getting paid like 60 grand a week here and they only get offered 25 somewhere else?
And
And they
Kuva,
still
this is
get
why
playing
they're
time
allowed to
here.
go. This is why they sack managers. They're getting on in age. They know when they leave Tottenham, they'll probably end up getting a championship wage because they're that bad. So they're going to hang on to it for as much as possible. And that's why they've had the power to get managers sacked here when they don't feel like doing it. Like under Pochettino, right? The players got him sacked and they were disgruntled because apparently they worked too hard. He worked them too hard. Then under Jose Mourinho, they got him sacked because A, he told them truths, and B, because they weren't training hard enough. Under Nuno, they didn't do any really fitness whatsoever. Complained about that, and it's kind of like, well, hang on, you complain Poch overworked, Drew. Now you're complaining you're being underworked. Like, what do you want as a squad? And it's kind of like, it's just excuses. And I've had enough of it now. But big up, Jerry. Really sparked a good conversation there, my man. Big yourself up, brother, and really appreciate the support.
I think at the end of the day, everybody agrees we need bloody new defenders, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Well, if there's anybody that doesn't, please come forward and we'll have a conversation. But Conte has called for the fans to get behind the team and him today. Hopefully we can see it. I know there's disappointment from the loss at Liverpool, Forest, the boos at halftime against Liverpool, etc. But look, hopefully we can get behind them today. But Kuva, we haven't scored in the first half of any of the past 8 matches in all competitions, and I've gone 2-0 down in the past 5 domestic games. Is our defence outdated for modern progressive football, and is it holding us back from competing at a higher level, or is it Conte's tactics and management?
Tough one to answer that, isn't it? Cheers. Yeah,
well, you can let Jack go first if you want. Let Jacko go first.
No, I'm okay. Go on it. Yeah, you could argue against the tactics, I suppose. Is it really bringing the best out of our forwards?
Yeah.
Possibly not. You could argue that midfield's getting overrun. We need the extra player in there, but we tried that. That didn't work either. The common denominators is going to be goalkeeper, defence. We're terrible playing out from the back, and that's one thing that does remain the constant is we do try to play out from the back. So we're not getting the best out of them. Therefore, the rest of the team struggles. Now, with Conte, is he preparing the team for games? I've got to ask that question. I think a lot of us are. Because how can we not turn up in the first half, but then we do in the second half? It's clearly not a fitness issue. It's clearly not an issue with talent. So why is that? Why the slow start? We've really got to say what is going on there. Is the team not prepared?
Let me ask you on that, Kuva. Let me ask you on that. Do we seriously sit here and believe a guy that has won trophies, a guy that is known for his meticulous planning, do you honestly sit there and believe that he's not preparing this team going into matches?
No, I'm not saying he doesn't put any effort into it. I'm saying why is it still not happening? Maybe it's just he's not capable of doing it here because is life too easy for the players? Are we too laid back and relaxed at the beginning of games? I don't know. It's been going on for a long time now, hasn't it? Some matches we just don't turn up. It's the culture at the club. It's surely got to be. Because you should be fired up and raring to go at the beginning of any match. Yeah. Why are we not seeing it? Yeah, I don't believe Conte's using that as a tactic. I don't believe he's sitting back and saying, "Yeah, just go relax. We're just playing the second half." That's not happening.
But you know what, Kuva? It does come down to a change in tactics as well, right? Like, I'm pretty sure the instructions are go out there, get on the ball, try and play a bit in the first half, and come in at halftime, and we'll take it from there. But when we have players who constantly give away the ball without being pressed, by the way, we've seen that, without being pressed, they're giving the ball back to the opposition, which then ultimately means you're giving the ascendancy in the whole game to the opposition. They end up coming forward, barreling forward, and they end up grabbing a couple of goals because of silly mistakes. But then what we don't take into account, now everyone thinks it's a tactic, just going at the opposition in the second half. The game's gone. You've got nothing to lose but throw caution to the wind. And the thing is, what we don't take into account, why would the opposition come out and play the way they did in the first half when they're 2-0 up and make it an end-to-end game? They sit back and put 11 men behind the ball. They allow us to have the ball. What they do is they wait for us to have the ball, get in and around their box, get it out wide, fling it in, take the ball off us and go at us again. It's not a purpose tactic by Conte to go at teams and everything else just purely in the second half. It's the way the game's unfolded. And the only reason why we look good in second half is because teams drop off us and allow us to have the ball to not make it an end-to-end game. Because they know if it's end-to-end, we have strikers that will score goals.
It's a tough
Look,
one.
we've all listened to managers and players talk about it. We can't sit here and deny that doesn't happen. Listen to podcasts from managers, players. They'll all tell you tactics during games make a difference.
Oh yeah. Of course, tactics make difference, but it does. It still doesn't explain why we're so painfully slow at the start. Sometimes you'd expect you're a bit messy at the start.
Let me ask you this, Kuva. Do you not think we were slow under Pochettino getting out the traps in games?
Yeah, sometimes.
I remember there was a lot of games we were.
Sometimes,
same as Jose Mourinho, same as Nuno.
Yeah. It's definitely some sort of mentality thing, isn't it? That's why I use the word culture at the club. It seems to have been going on for a while now. Yeah, can't really explain that one. Life's too easy. Like I said a few weeks back, maybe we should be throwing buckets of ice water over them and getting them with a cattle prod. Just get them going at the start of the game.
Honestly, yeah, that's what we hire Kuva, get him to stand beside them with a cattle prod and just casually wake them up as they go along. But Jack, what's your thoughts on it as well? Huh?
Shock collars.
That'd be ideal. Balls coming, just wake up. But Jack, what's your thoughts on it as well? Do you think it is a certain tactic by Conte? It's down to Conte's tactics and management, or do you simply think it is just down to the backline being outdated and modern football passing them by?
I think it is the back line and being exceptionally outdated. I mean, Kuva even said earlier with the Formula One reference, like we have Hamilton as the driver, and then we have maybe some components of this Ford Focus that have the engine of a Formula One car, but it's still the body of a Ford Focus. And that's where I think if we want to try to play progressive football, if we want to try to be 2-0, 3-0 up with a Ford Focus, Dave, let's try our best, but I don't see it, working out for us every single time. So I'm actually going to kind of piggyback off of sort of Kuva's sort of metaphor there, because that then tells me, Dave, in order for us to really play the way we want to, we need to have a full 11 of players that are on the exact same level, or at least on the level to be able to play with each other at a sort of high degree. I don't think that's the case right now. We don't have players that are on the same level technically in the same level. We don't have players that are on the same level IQ-wise when it comes to football. We don't even have players that are on the same level experience-wise either. And so it's kind of just a mishmash of guys in the 11 that simply, I think, in certain cases, can't play with each other that well. I think Sassignon doesn't have a good enough first touch to be able to play alongside a guy like Sonny or Perisic. I feel like the way recently Emerson and Doherty are playing just simply won't be good enough in the future to be able to play with the likes of a Kulusevski alongside them. We need a backline that can play with Bentancur and Højbjerg and be able to give them the ball regularly and be able to feed them and take risks and be able to actually hold on to it and not just balloon it away all the time, Dave. I find that in order for us to really judge Conte, I'd rather see him have at least a strong, I'm not even saying, an entire squad yet, Dave, just at least an 11 of players that we all are confident in maybe the way that the likes of the Gooners are, Man City are, and other teams are in their starting 11. Because I don't think anybody really has that sort of, let's say, confidence in the real starting 11. None of us really do have full confidence in Sessignon. As much as I've defended Emerson in the past, I fully accept he is a shit footballer. And it kind of goes on from there with the likes of Moonhead and Sanchez, etc. I think we all have to admit and sometimes have to take a step back and just realize that there are players that are world-class in this 11, like Harry Kane and Sonny, and honestly, the way Kulusevski's been playing too. And then you have Matt Doherty on the same pitch. It's just not really compatible, and I think that's what really the issue lies, Dave, is that once you actually have an 11 that can all play with each other and let's say all play on the same sort of high level of football and in terms of intelligence as well, then you'll start to see a much better team. Then you'll start to be able, I think, to judge Conte, at least in my opinion, more appropriately. Another thing, too, is that it's not like every team tries to sort of score 2 or 3 goals right away in the first 20 minutes. There are a lot of teams that start kind of cautiously, start a bit pragmatically. I think it's always been that way, Dave. There are teams that like to start fast, and then there are teams that like to start a bit more pragmatically. And it's not like to say that one is better than the other. I think that's a bit silly. Because even look at Sir Alex Ferguson, to even also, La Liga teams in the past and whatnot, they never started that fast. Usually they actually started quite slow. So I think there is something to be said about there is no right way or wrong way to even start a game, too.
Yeah, I think in a lot of the big games, always in throughout the Premiership history, you get two teams collide, and you get the first sort of 20 minutes is a bit cagey. They're sort of feeling each other out, sort of for how the game's going to go, what's working, what is, and it's a bit scrappy at the start. With us, you don't get that. It seems to be we start for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then instantly the other team's on the offensive, and we're sitting back. It happens so often, it's ridiculous. I just don't believe that is entirely down to Conte. That's got to be the players.
Yeah. Look, like I said, I'm not going to judge any manager on that back line. I just refuse to do it. Just absolutely refuse to do it. Just want to pull up a comment here before we get into some super chats, and it's from Mr. Edwardson, which I'm quite surprised about because usually he's actually a very reasonable person in the chat. But please don't call anybody out like that just because you have a disagreement with them. Look, you can disagree with them all you want, my man, but let's not start taking pops at each other, because this always happens when frustrating periods around Spurs start happening, that everyone starts fighting, arguing, taking pops at each other for a difference of opinion. It does not need to happen like this, and it doesn't benefit anybody. What does benefit people is having people from different opinions all having a good discussion, keeping their calm, and hopefully we can sort it out that way. There's no need to start niggling at each other whatsoever. It's not our fault what's going on. We can't do anything about it. All we do is support the club and have an opinion. Jory says the final reason that shouldn't make every Spurs fan be Conte, or that should make every Spurs fan be Conte in, is that nobody alive will fight for a chance of glory like he will. I absolutely love that. I believe him. Like you look how animated the guy is. Everything he does comes from a winning position. Everything he does is try and win. He wants to win trophies. He's a serial winner. And for me, I agree with Jerry. You got to look at the passion of the guy. It's all about winning for him. He doesn't like losing, doesn't like drawing games. It's all about winning.
Here's another thing to say. Jory's absolutely right. I think since Sean Dyche has left the Premier League, who would you put your money on if you were to have like a boxing MMA match or something of all the managers? I think a lot of people would put money on Conte. And Dave, it's not really because of the size of him. He's not like Jurgen Klopp or he's 6'4" or anything. It's because of the size of the dog in him, Dave. It's the size of the fight, in Antonio Conte. We all know that he's like a pit bull type of guy. He is going to be ruthless in any sort of thing that he goes with. He goes with full intensity, full energy, and that's what he asks from anybody else that works with him, Jory. So I completely agree with you. I think that just sort of speaks to, since Sean Dyche has left, the Premier League, I would put my money on Antonio Conte with any sort of boxing fight, any sort of kind like that. Even just a Formula One race, I put my money on Conte. He wants to win everything. He's a true winner, Jory. Absolutely right.
This seems to be the bit that people are struggling with the argument for Conte out for a lot of us. It's not to do with his ability. I think he's a good manager. I do think he's a winner. I do think he pushes for trophies all the time. I just don't see him doing it here.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But do you know what, Kuva? I also don't want to give up on it either, because for me, it's kind of like we don't do it now. I don't see us doing it going forward, and it's kind of like I don't want to let go of that, because like Jerry is saying, no one will fight for trophies like an Antonio Conte. So
yeah, we're on the same page, mate. I'm just further down on the text, I think.
Yeah, no, I know. Shit, look, big up, Jerry. I just want to keep Antonio Conte here. I want that back line rotated, my man. But big up, Jericho. Hope you're keeping well, and hopefully you're pumped up for today's game, brother. And we will be doing a fan show after today's game, so feel free to come on and have a conversation with us, Jerry. Big yourself up, my man. Brandon G says, how hard is it to cancel contracts? A few to be cancelled. Not very hard whatsoever. We can do it when we want. Aria got his cancelled. Now, look, I've no doubt it was cancelled because there was a lot less on it than I think there was a year left on his contract. So I think that's why we cancelled it, because it's easier to get out of it and a lot cheaper to get out of it 1 year left. But like Dyer's contract surely is coming up, especially if they're offering him a new contract. But this is the problem. Like, Davies has been offered contracts. Dyer's been offered contracts. Sanchez has signed contracts. For what? For what? What have they done? And like we keep saying, oh, and like this is the problem. We keep going, oh, the manager must like him if he's giving him a new contract. It's not the manager giving them a new contract. It's the board. They want to protect their investment and they want to keep the value of the player. That's why they're getting the contracts. It's not on merit. It's about tying them down so that if a club does come in, we can demand what we want off them because the contract isn't running low. And that's the whole nuts and bolts of it. And the way modern football works, contracts and all aren't really down to managers anymore. The club look after that now. And for me, that's where you put the blame. But I would like to cancel a few. Believe me, I would have cancelled a few coming into this season. But big up, Brandon. Not very hard whatsoever. All you got to do is call me.
I think Shawnee's the man to talk to on that front, because it's all to do with valuation of assets and things, and you can write some things off if you increase the value somewhere else. He knows the technical stuff on that.
We had a conversation with Shawnee actually on here. I think it was like last week or the week before about Dyer's contract situation, and he was saying more or less that, to be fair. But big up, Brandon G. Not very hard whatsoever, brother. We've got Asad Hamid. Personally, hope we lose today. Sack him coming. Look, each their own. Not going to tell you how to support the club. You will never hear me saying I want Tottenham to lose regardless. Never, ever, ever. Can't take the pain. Can't take the hurt. I want to win every single game, my man. And I don't want to lose just to sack a manager either, if I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah. No, it just seems unfair then, because then what if the manager goes on a 6-game unbeaten run? Do you still want him to lose so he could get sacked? It's just, I don't know. I think that's regardless of how you feel about Conte, I think you should let your hope for 3 points be separate from that. I think definitely should be separate from that, at least for me. But big up Azad. Big up Azad.
Plus, if Kulusevski starts, we play some good football, entertaining game.
What do you do then?
Guess who shuts up?
100%. And then Sean Curran says, watch the warm-up and you'll have the answer. Do you know what? I actually read something on Conte's warm-ups there. Do you know he actually makes the players run more than any other team or in the warm-up?
For the matches.
So it's not like they're not coming into the game alert, ready to go, warmed up, because they are. Because he makes them run more than any other team across Europe in his warm-ups. It just comes down to same old individuals. It doesn't matter what you do. Give them Weetabix, run the bollocks out of them. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. But look, we're going to keep moving on. Conte was asked about the loss of Antroni in the most recent press conference, Jack. He showed that he was still feeling the loss of his friend and mentioned that it was not easy for him or the squad to endure the loss over the hectic October period. Has the pressure from the Russia fixtures over the October period sadly made it easy to forget the loss of an important friend of Conte and the rest of the Tottenham Hotspur squad?
Yeah, I'll make this sort of brief, but it was something I watched the press conference, Dave, so I kind of wanted to include this kind of moment where he was asked about this, Antonio Conte, and he did look very emotional still, and he still did look very torn up about it when asked about it. And it sort of then suggested to me that this is sort of a very hectic October period where, yes, we're kind of at, we're at each other's throats over the future. We're thinking about, the dreadful form of the players and all that. But sometimes when you're in such a hectic time period, you do maybe forget about what has also happened to the squad, and especially to Antonio Conte. And that is the loss of, seriously, one of his best friends, one of his mentors, one of the people that's just been in his life for such a long time. If I'm not mistaken too, Dave, wasn't Ventroni there during his playing career? I think he'd known each other since his playing careers as well. So a guy that basically has been around his life for a very long time. And Conte basically said that hectic October period was not easy to deal with that loss, because had it been maybe, I think, a regular sort of playing month of games, I don't know, the effect or whatever it could have had on him. But I think it's just something that needs to be acknowledged, that basically we had the most hectic period of games the entire season over basically the loss of one of Antonio Conte's most important people in his life. And I think regardless of how you feel about him tactically, manager-wise, just him as a human being, let's just acknowledge that he's definitely gone through a lot. And I don't imagine that. I don't really want to be in his position. I think that must be really hard. And he really has only had the opportunity to really answer it once. And that was actually just recently in the press conference. He was actually asked about what it was like to go through that loss over the most hectic schedule period over the whole season. And he basically just clearly admitted it was not easy. So that's all I wanted to say. Just something we have to
Um,
take into consideration. Just him as a human being, not an easy month.
Yeah. No, for him, it's definitely not, especially like you were saying, Jack, considering this guy was a coach when Conte was a player. It's
Yeah.
what, 20, 30 years now they've known each other. It's crazy. It's crazy. But Kuva, Conte put the defeat down midweek to the players having mental and physical fatigue from a grueling fixture schedule. Now, we played 21 games in just over 3 months, but yet we have made a habit of coming from behind. So is this an excuse, or is it a legitimate reason for the performances we have seen of late?
There's going to be some sort of fatigue. There must be, because
Yeah.
that is a lot of matches in a short space of time. Physically, I find that one a little bit difficult, because we do have a squad. You can rotate. We just don't really do too much of that at times. If it was that big a deal and you're worried about a league game against Leeds, then why not play youth players in the cup game and do what some of the other big teams do? We didn't do that, so there must be a feeling that they are good enough to get through that game at least. Mental fatigue is another thing entirely that you can't really deal with so much, because getting yourself up for all these big games in a row, it's all right, well and good us, amateurs and pundits talking about players being up for games, but so I can imagine go through that amount of high pressure games, so many in a row, it's gonna take a toll on you. You have to, the levels of concentration are going to drop. I think there's something to it, but it's a squad game. We're supposed to have. We keep getting told how much depth we've got now in the squad. Why don't we do that? I can't excuse that kind of performance against Forest. They made 8 changes, no problem. We have a pretty strong team, and we were lucky that Fraser Forster was on form. Otherwise, we would have lost 5-0. I mean, it's shocking beyond words. That's kind of result.
Can I just quickly ask, Kuva, was it? I had said just the other night that I thought it was just as bad as the Man United performance, if not worse. Is that a bit far, or is that comparable? Yeah, it's that, I was called ludicrous for that. I was like, it felt like the Forest game. I remembered more from the Man United game than I remembered from the Forest game. Like, the Forest game was so recent, and yet I remember us doing absolutely nothing pretty much until the 60th minute. And the Man United game, I still remember moments of the game. I remember
Man United game. Yeah, Man United game. At least we were holding some sort of shape in the match at times.
Yeah, it just was Forest. It's like, I feel like it didn't even happen. It was that horrible a performance. Like, I just don't even remember anything that happened. It was that shite. So I'm glad that you agree. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, first half against Liverpool as well, when people were saying we didn't play that badly. But I was looking at that, and I just saw the likes of Nunes just rampaging down their left wing without being challenged all game. All that half, it was just ridiculous. And we just keep doing this kind of crap.
Let me ask you this, Kuva. You're after sparking something in mind. This is something I see a common theme. Why are we constantly like, oh, you're right, Darren Nunes was getting the ball down that side every single time, but then Dyer's running with him, but keeps letting him cut back inside towards the goal. Why does this keep happening? That our defenders are actually, instead of showing them away from goal, they're showing them in on goal.
You tell me. I mean, if you go back in the old days, really old days, possibly even before my time, there used to be a system of defense called the funnel defense, where you would show the player inside, but it's because you knew your mate was right by you, ready to smash into them the moment you'd done it. There's no point doing that just by yourself. We don't know who's with you. So somebody like that, it's much harder to score a goal from it being crossed in from that sort of angle than letting them cut in and shoot. That's why people take so many short corners nowadays. Corners aren't generally a big source of getting goals. Crosses aren't. So low percentage on converting a cross compared to just getting into the box and letting loose a shot. So I don't know. It's stupidity from Dyer. Inability to do it. I don't know. Just up against a better player, and Nunes looks shocking at half the time.
It just you know what? It just drives me absolutely insane. I mean, I remember Darren Nunes runs down that side. Literally, all he wants to do, and he shapes up for it. It's so easy to read. Cut inside and whip one in. Dyer lets him. Dyer stands in the fullback position and says, "Go on, mate, cut inside." I'm kind of like, no, you're supposed to be showing him out there. I don't know. It's absolute no.
Also, if Dyer is struggling so much with somebody on the right side there, then the wing back has to come back and help him out. You can't just abandon it. That if you are struggling that bad, you can't abandon your defensive priorities. No matter how much I say about wing backs should be attackers first. You've got responsibilities to the team.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that for sure. Adrian Chia says, how hard to send people to the moon or even to Mars? And what's that guy that owns Virgin? Richard Branson? Just get in contact with him, Adrian. And we'll email Richard Branson, trick Dyer, Sanchez, Doherty, Session, say they've won a free trip to the moon and just absolutely leave them there. Dyer would be going home anyway, Jack Moonhead.
Too bad Elon Musk bought Twitter. He had some money maybe to buy Spurs, and he could have sent Moonhead up to Mars with his new SpaceX, machines and all that. Adrian, huge loss for us, I must say. It probably would have been easier to rip up the contracts, just get Elon Musk in, have them send him up to space as new astronauts for Elon.
Yeah, 100%. Big up, Adrian Chia, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. Everybody, I forgot to say this at the start. Smash that like button. Feel free to smash that subscribe button. We're about 11 subscribers away from reaching 8.5K. Let's see if we can get that done today, heading into the international break. And guys, feel free, like so many before you, to get in a super chat with your thoughts and opinions. Just means you're highlighted, you're dominant. Everyone has no option but to see it. And we'll also have a good conversation on it. But part of the deal is keep getting your comments in. We'll bring them up as we go along. And we do try to include them as we go along as well, as Johnny Currens knows. But look, Kuva, we enjoyed our best start to a Premier League season ever after 10 games. But in recent weeks, we have failed to win 5 of our last 7 games in all competitions. Could it just be this simple that our run of form right now is just simply down to injuries with Richarlison, Kulu, Sonny, Romero, Lucas, all missing through injury?
Well, first of all, I'll start with saying at the start of the season, that myself and a few others, we were saying that we're in a false position. We were getting away with murder. That point at Chelsea, for example, we certainly didn't deserve that. We'd got away with it. Performances against the likes of Wolves were played off the pitch, but because they got no cutting edge, we get away with a 1-0 win. I felt we were at this elevated position. Although it's turned out to be the best start we've had, you'd say a lot of that is down to blind luck. It wasn't going to last. Now it hasn't been lasting. I think the performances haven't just dropped to the level of I was expecting, but they've actually gone below that. And I think that is a little bit down to injuries. That Kulusevski is a massive miss to this club.
Huge.
It really is.
Showed that against Liverpool, didn't he? What was it, 82 seconds?
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're probably around 5th or 6th place in the tables, probably where I think we should be at the moment. We're sort of thereabouts anyway. There's so little between 4th place and 7th now. It's just the 5 points. And they've all got the games in hand below us. So I think we're just not quite really hitting the heights. We're not terrible, except for this little run at the moment where we've been absolutely shocking at times. That is down to a lot of defensive mistakes, poor defending generally, poor concentration levels. It's a bit of everything, but the injuries don't help, do they? Soon as you get a few key players out, we come apart completely.
Kulu was the biggest one for me. I think Romero as well, because Romero hasn't hit the heights he was at last season, but he still knows how to defend. And Kulu going forward, the goal involvements that guy's had since we signed him last January, he's absolutely crucial going forward, because what he does is he also adds a threat, which then takes all the attention off stopping Kane or stopping Son, because they also have Kulu to worry about, which means they have to spread out a bit more. Whereas when Kulu's not there, they can just do what teams done to us under Jose. Press Kane and Son over that left-hand side, just worry about that, and that's the only threat that Tottenham have. So with Kulu back, hopefully I do think it might make a difference, but we'll wait and see. When I look at it, right, we did have our best start after 10 games, and then over October, November, it's completely peeled off, but we have had a lot of injuries in the last month or so. I just wonder, are we getting ahead of ourselves and making too much of it, and not understanding that some of the injuries we have had are in absolutely crucial areas, one in the forward line, one in the back line, and it's hampered us where we can't keep goals out, but we're also not scoring enough goals. I just wonder, is it simply down to injuries? Might not be, but I wonder.
I think scoring less. Are we scoring less goals now? We don't really have a problem with scoring goals, do we? It's keeping them out the other end seems to be the real problem at the moment.
Especially when we have a fully fit attack, like definitely won't have problem scoring goals with those players that we have, available to choose from.
If you did like Nuno did, then you have to say, okay, manager out. You have to. You can't have them two players and
you
not
have
score
Sonny
goals.
Kane and Kulusevski and complain. You can't.
I think the other thing to bear in mind now is this season more than any other, competition is fierce for those top four spots. From my point of view, I think City, Arsenal, and Newcastle are probably in there. Those top three positions at the end of the season for me.
Newcastle. I'll put a bet on with you. I'll put a friendly wager on with you. Guarantee you, Newcastle don't last. We make this mistake every single season. Last year it was West Ham. Before it was Brighton. They never last. Never ever last. I'll put a fiver on it with you, Coover. A friendly fiver.
A whole fiver.
yeah, friendly fiver. Nothing too big. Something that you can say, okay, I won. I'm going to get myself a 4 cans or whatever. And then if I win, I can go and get a chicken fillet roll.
We'll do a beer at the game when we meet up there one day.
Right, that's what we'll do. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So I have Newcastle outside top 4. Kuba has Newcastle inside top 4. Let's see what happens. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right.
They don't concede goals. They've only lost one league game, and that was a last-minute winner against Liverpool. That's the kind of form gets you top 4. It's the kind of form that even pushes you towards titles if you get it right.
I do agree. Eddie Howe does have them playing well. They've got some steady Premier League players in there. Just don't think it's going to last. I just don't. But guys, what I do want to ask you, we'll start with Jack, and I want to get Kuva's answer on this as well. Now, Jack, a win today means that we head into the World Cup break sitting above Chelsea, Man U, and Liverpool, and the last 16 of the Champions League. If I offered you this at the start of the season going into World Cup break, would you have accepted it?
Absolutely, yes. 1,000 times, yes. I think, to be fair, if we had been above that, I would have been even more impressed with, the start of the season. This is this maybe the bare minimum of most Spurs fans where we're probably at? You could say so. And that maybe then speaks to the fact that the pressure that is on Conte, if you do look at the position, if you look at where we are, if you consider the injuries, if you consider everything that's happened to the team this season, it's a good position to be in. It's not really as doom and gloom as it maybe might appear, at least from, for the time being. And so I think, Dave, honestly, I'd take that 1,000 times. If we had been offered that in the beginning of the season, I would have taken it. I would have gladly fast forwarded to this point in time. Probably then meant I didn't have to see some of these atrocious performances and some of these atrocious results. So Dave absolutely would accept that. Fast forward to this point and bring on the World Cup. I mean, who wouldn't be happy being in the top 4 race? Just like me even mentioned from Cuba, a top 4 race that is probably more competitive than it ever has been in the past few seasons. And in the round of 16, a position that Spurs fans haven't been in quite a long time, especially the likes of the Arsenal. I know they'll be very jealous too, seeing us there. But I don't know, Dave, I would have gladly have taken that. I would have bit your hand off for it. Absolutely.
Kuva, if I said to you at the start of the season, top 4 above Liverpool, Chelsea, United, last 16 in the Champions League, would you have bit my hand off for it? Would you have accepted it? Would you have took it?
No, still need context. I never back down from my belief that you've got to play stylish attacking football and win. So I'm not happy with the way the football's going. If it's just about results, I can glance at my phone for updates. I want to watch the match and enjoy what I'm seeing. So that's not good enough by itself. Do it properly. Do it in style. Never back down.
Fair enough. Two interesting answers there. People in the chat, let me know. Would you have accepted it? Would you not have accepted it? But what I will say is that Conte reckons it's a good job. He said that in his in his press conference. Kuva, has the mid-season break for the World Cup come at the right time for Spurs? As some players look mentally and physically drained, the fans are mentally, physically drained, and results have taken a downturn. But also, can we use this break now and turn it around to our advantage?
Has it come at the right time? I think it would be better if it came at about sort of 2:59 this afternoon. Yeah, can we use the break? Of course we can. I'd like to think that Conte is going to be sitting down with Paratici, talking about who they want as transfers for January, and then Conte and Paratici takes that list to Levy and says, "Get these." Not like we'd like these. Let's see what we can get. Just get these. Actually get these players that are wanted, and preferably a couple of defenders that do for a start. If we do nothing else but shore up the back line, we got a chance of top four. Maybe we'll string together an FA Cup run, something like that. It's hopeful, but at least it's a start. But I'm just worried we're going to do what we always do. We'll buy players that weren't the screaming, the sort of urgency that's needed. We'll just buy ones for the future. There's talk of getting Gordon from Everton. How's that going to help the defence? Let's just hope it's something's done. I just look at what we've always do. It's never the right thing. So few windows in our in the Premiership era have been good for us.
Yeah, true. But look, I would like to think that it's probably come at the right time. I think if this persisted all the way till December, all the way to January, I think you would actually probably see Conte go. I just don't think the players would be able to handle the pressure and everything else. But for me, I think it's come at the right time. I genuinely do believe that. And I think now is the right time to try and get Conte to commit, get Kane to commit, and have a good January transfer window, use it to our advantage, and go out there and have a good, strong second half to the campaign. But we're Tottenham Hotspur, so we'll wait and see whether that well and truly happens. Jack, how is it important that we do start strongly today and actually have a go at Leeds from the off rather than reacting and going behind, especially with it being a home game in front of our fans who just simply won't tolerate what they saw against Forest just midweek?
Yeah, I mean, regardless of whether Conte wants to be pragmatic, regardless if he wants to be a bit more compact and all those sort of things, he has to make sure that the players are still bringing the energy, that the players are still bringing that sort of that energy, that intensity that the fans have just simply haven't seen for the past few games. I mean, more than the past few games, let's be honest. I feel like if they don't start off strong, or at least start off with some sort of backbone, Dave, some sort of kind of just steel in the game, then the fans will absolutely be on them, and they rightfully so, because it's been deeply frustrating to see this team come out so slowly in each game. I don't think we're asking for us to be 2-0 up by the 20th minute, but we're not asking for the team to concede so much possession, to constantly give the ball away, to allow to allow the opponent into the game so easily. It feels like that is sort of our Achilles heel, Dave, is that we can even start games off pretty decently in the first 10 minutes, but so quickly do we let it slip, and so quickly do we kind of take the foot off the gas and sort of let the team back into it and let them kind of have their sort of domination in the game. So it is absolutely important, Dave, because the fans will be on them if they don't. And like I said just before, I think rightfully so. If the fans don't see that energy and that intensity from the players, it's also, I think, more pressure on Conte again if the players don't come out in that sort of a manner with that sort of intensity. Absolutely important, Dave. And also, I think a team like Leeds, Dave, they're kind of like Arsenal, if I'm not mistaken. I think they like to start fast. Leeds, they're kind of a team that do want to maybe force you to make a mistake in kind of the first 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I think Arsenal do the exact same thing. So Spurs do have to come out fast, and they do have to come out strong, because I'm pretty sure Leeds are going to do the exact same thing. And if we don't meet them at that level, we could find ourselves yet again, Davo, where we're 1-0 down quite easily.
Yeah, very, 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 very easily. I do hope we start well. Hopefully we can keep a bit of possession. But look, if certain individuals are playing, I expect that to be given away very, very quickly. Scorpions Fan for Life says, guys, if we lose this, it would be toxic and for 6 weeks. Absolutely spot on, my man. It will. It's already hard enough the place to be right now, but let alone it getting worse, my man. Cam, he's gone with 2-0 Spurs today. Absolutely love that, brother. Come on, you Spurs. Brave man predicting a clean sheet, I will say, because don't keep them, my man. Just do not keep them. But hey-ho, I mean, it is coming into the month of the time of giving, which is Christmas. So hopefully we can be given the gift of a clean sheet, my man. Big yourself up.
And also Dermot, Dave, celebrating 12 months as a fan show member, says, in Conte we trust. He will take us to the promised land. The last week tested my Spurs loyalty, but he will get us there. Come on, you Spurs. Thank you, guys. Dermot, I knew you were going to pick yourself up eventually, Dave. If anybody is going to pick himself up from any sort of disaster at Spurs, it's going to be Dermot and it's going to be Ellie, and plenty of those at THFC till I die. Absolute legends. Big up Dermot, and the whole year as well as a fan show member. And I know you've been with us a lot longer than that, though, Dermot, but pick yourself up, brother.
Yeah, big up, Dermotron. Hope you're keeping well, my man. Let's get after it there. Let's get the results. It's been really down with Tottenham lately, so big up, Dermot. Hope you're good. And then we've also got, can you smell? La, 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 what the calf is brewing. What's he saying, Jacko?
16 months for Ben Kaufman, Dave. 16 months at great times he's written, and he says, here's to 16 more. Up the Spurs. Ben Kaufman, it's been 16 interesting months. I wouldn't say every month has been brilliant, has been great, but certainly we've been able to pick ourselves up, and I know you can as well, Ben. Absolute legend. I really appreciate the support for so long, too, brother. Absolute legend.
No, big up, Benji. 16 months of fun. Hopefully we have another 16 more, Benji, if you can tolerate my whiny Irish voice, that is. But big yourself up, Benji. Really appreciate the support, my man. But look, we're going to keep this moving. We're going to start with Fraser Forster. I'm going to throw this question out to the two of you, and I just have to run to the Jack's very, very quickly. And I don't mean Jack's house. You won't see me flying across the screen there. Jack's is another word for toilets over in Ireland. Jacko, Fraser Forster, for me, put in a really good performance between the sticks Wednesday night, making a number of one-on-one saves to keep the scoreline down. Has he done enough to displace Hugo for today's game and to be given a run in the team?
This was an interesting one. I thought he actually played pretty well. And a lot of people had confidence in him, if I'm not mistaken, going into this one. Dark Sun G had a lot of confidence in Fraser Forster. Believe yourself, Kuva, in the past when you've been here on the pre-match buildups, you've had no problem if Forster was going to come in case. And so I think he kind of proved you guys right. Let's be honest. He had some pretty exceptional one-on-one saves. Definitely kept us in the game as best he could. Looked a little nervous. I think there was that one moment where he let the ball bounce off the woodwork. That was a little sketchy for me. But I think, if anything, that sort of just suggests, any keeper, they're always a little bit nervous if they haven't been behind the sticks in a real game scenario in some time. But ever since that little moment, I thought that was probably the only sketchy moment that really Forster had, was just kind of misreading that bounce and misreading the kind of the flight of the ball there. But some really good one-on-one saves. Obviously, we know, too, he might be a bit more aggressive from corners, or at least no one's going to be able to push him around or be able to, get in his way, because the man is a human tree. I really enjoy, Forster's performance. I have not been convinced with Hugo. He's been really poor with his feet. I think Forster didn't have too many opportunities with his feet, but he actually looked okay. I think probably just as good as Hugo, if not better. I don't know, Kuva. I'm throwing him in there. I actually would be happy to see him again. Hugo is going to the World Cup anyways. He's not really into it with the best sort of form. Perhaps we do give Forster another go, because he hasn't really been playing. He's not going anywhere. He's just going to be training with Conte. Perhaps give him another chance.
Yeah, I'm all for Forster. Like I said on shows before, when he was at Southampton, I rated him the best goalkeeper in the league. He was that good. Gone off the boil since then, but what I saw on Wednesday, he was the only player really playing for us. Would have been 5-0 without him. Letting it hit the post, you could say it wasn't going in, so it's precision judgment, really, isn't it? No, it was like you said, just one little dodgy moment.
He had his margins that down.
Yeah, that's right. He knows where to stand for the rebound. Yeah, I've got no problems with him at all. He's also such a big lad. He'll dominate them aerially. That will help out the defense in turn.
Did you feel justified, because like I said, you were with a few other people that were totally happy with him stepping in. I believe it was like a month ago even. It might have been as long as a month ago you said you were happy with him coming in and getting some more games. So you feel kind of justified with your support of him?
Yeah, funny enough, well, I'll keep making the point of I thought the summer transfer window was really disappointing. Mm-hmm. He was one of the ones I was very happy with. I thought he was great backup. Showed it Wednesday. I'll be very happy for him to start again. I think he's a good goalkeeper. He's solid. I think he will instill confidence in people around him. Might just help the defence out a bit, knowing they got somebody that will come out and catch the ball under pressure, easily punch it away. He's about 7'14", isn't he? He's a big unit. I think he offers things that your Hugo doesn't. Hugo's got all the agility in the world, can make some world-class saves and everything. I think Forster does it all a little bit easier, if I'm honest. I actually put him ahead of Hugo at the moment. Hugo's got too many mistakes in him. He's not reliable, and especially as a captain, you need your captain to be on his game, don't you? Mm. So perhaps it's time to give the armband to Højbjerg and stick in Fraser Forster.
Do you know what? I actually think some of the one-on-one saves Fraser Forster made, I don't see Hugo making them.
Wow. Wow.
I don't see him making them, especially that header that they had where Sanchez ballooned it off that Forest player, hit the post, and then Fraser Forster gets across, makes a save from the header. He made, I think, 2 or 3 one-on-one saves as well. I just do not see Hugo making them saves. And look,
one of the ones he made with his feet, Hugo would not have made. Yeah, one of the ones he made with his feet, Hugo would not have made. Hugo doesn't usually get down that quickly. So good point, Dave. Sorry.
And if we want to be brutally honest as well, we can't sit here and pretend Hugo Lloris is not on the decline. He just is. When you I listen to Ben Foster's podcast an awful lot, and he talks about that the older you get, you don't want to be flying around, jumping around on the ground and everything else because it's just sore. It becomes taxing on the body. You can't move the way you used to move when you were a bit younger. And it's just the nature of life. Hugo Lloris is getting on, and we've got to look at his replacement. Look, I do think Hugo will be back in the squad today, but if his mistakes persist, get him out, throw Fraser Forster in. That's why we bought him, in my opinion. And I wouldn't mind seeing him given a run in the team just to try and see something a bit different, because I don't rate Hugo as a captain either. Has he been kept around, or has he not been replaced as quickly as he could because he's club captain? That could be a reason either. But for me, I don't rate him as a captain. I never have done and never will do. So
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
It's just inconvenient to have a goalkeeper as a captain. He can't go and have a word with the referee during play or anything, can he?
Only Pickford does.
An outfield player can.
Yeah.
Pickford has to sprint 40 yards every time when he does it. But also, Hugo, I don't think a lot of people really have confidence with him as a captain. They really don't. And it just sort of speaks to it. And also, if he is captain, makes it harder for him to get dropped, or it makes it harder for him to get rotated, because you're dropping not only your starting goalkeeper, but you're also dropping your captain at the same time. It makes it even more complicated.
It will also goes with my old school feeling on about how referees should be treated. As far as I'm concerned, you got a problem with the referee, you let your captain know, and only the captain talks to the referee. I hate all this gathering around the ref, almost sort of verbally trying to shout him into a corner to change decisions. I hate all that stuff.
Do you know what? I don't mind it. I'd actually rather see Tottenham do more of it. It's how you affect the referee. It's how you start. Honestly, it's how you start getting 50-50 calls during the game, where you see maybe a referee leave something go because you planted seeds in his mind beforehand. And at the end of the day, he's still human. So for me, I do think there is a benefit to it. There's a benefit to it. Sir Alex Ferguson used to instruct these teams to surround the referee. Coincidentally enough, look at his success he had and look at the decisions he got most of the time. Jose Mourinho instructed the Chelsea players to do it. They got the benefit.
Make it a bookable offence. That'll soon stop.
Well, yeah, but I don't want it to stop. I want to be able to influence the referee, me, to be honest with you. I'd love to say to him, look, come round my house after, I'll throw you up a nice roast dinner. Just give me a few decisions. Look, for me, I'd rather us corrupt the referee than VAR doing it, to be honest with you. But Phil says, great question, panel. He says, would you challenge or change the captain halfway through the season, and who would it be? I would, I'll be honest, especially over the last month and a half. I would say even longer than then. I would actually go back as far as the West Ham game, when your captain, by the way, is not under pressure, kicks the ball out, doesn't kick it up to halfway and kick it out, by the way, kicks it out towards a throw in near our box for them to be able to throw in and get straight our goal, and that's where the equaliser came from. I would change captain, and I would actually give it to Zinedine Salzburg. I mean, I love the way the guy walked over to Eric Dyer midweek and berating him. Eric Dyer standing there, taking 20 touches on the ball and throwing his hands up in the air. Well, where do you want me to pass this to? Who's moving? Who's moving forward? This and the other. Absolute noonhead. Højbjerg comes over. He says, listen, numpty, you've got 40-mile radius to the left, 40-mile radius to the right. How about you actually move, stone boots, for once? How about you actually move and then look for a pass? You know, the fact that Højbjerg has to come and do that shows how brain dead numpty is at the back line. But for me, I've even seen a score and him pep talk Kulu on the way back to the halfway line. So I want Zinedine Salzburg as my captain. I mean, I just do. He holds people accountable. Absolute stone boots at the back. Ridiculous. But anyway,
I'm Højbjerg as well.
That's the new ambition for me every time I come on the show now, is to get you to do your Dyer impression.
Glorious.
Oh, he's such a numpty, though, isn't he? He really is. But guys, would you change captain halfway during the season? Who would it be?
I would love to. Is it possible, though? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's something that's really done, unless you're Stevie G.
True. I suppose look at the effect that had on him doing it. I suppose there is that argument.
Yeah, there is that argument. I think I would love to do it. I just don't think it's how it's done. It's unfortunate, but especially Hugo's last season potentially with us, or at least last season as the starting goalkeeper. It's just maybe not how they do it. You know, it's a certain type of what is it? It's not political. Is not the right word, but it's a hierarchy, right, Dave? And it's complicated. It's like it's not easy, right? It's a lot of red tape. I'm not even finding the right word here, but I think you know what I mean. It's complicated. It's not so easy.
Yeah. And look, Spurs, just to balance it up, says Arsenal changed captains mid-season and done so much better after Aubameyang last
Well, they got rid of him. That's what it was. Unless we get rid of Hugo in January, then we can do that. But absolutely right, Spurs. Spot on. Good example there. That would require us to send him to Barcelona in January.
See to the fourth, so they're thinking along the same lines I am. If you just drop Lloris for Forster, you get a new captain without having to officially strip him of the captaincy.
It's true.
No,
you can still have a club captain and a captain on the pitch, so it can work.
Just quickly, Dave, Bob Spur member for 20 months, absolute legend, says England getting knocked out early and a dejected Kane coming back early, or England getting to a final and top confident Kane back. 2 questions. Big up, lads. So what would you rather have? England getting knocked out early and a dejected Kane coming back early, or England getting to a final and winning it and a confident Kane coming back? What would you prefer?
I'll go quickly and then we'll let Kuvi. Look, for me, I actually want Kane to come back early, if I'm being brutally honest. Come back dejected. I'll give him a massage, a little pep talk. He'll be fine. What I actually do want is Dyer to make an absolute monumental fuck up that costs England, knocks them out of the World Cup, so that actually the whole country ends up talking about stone boots instead of just me. And I think it'll actually, because what will happen then is there'll be a massive highlight on England's defence, and then that'll also automatically bring a highlight on the options they have, which then will prove to many people that the guy's just not good enough. So that's what I actually want, to be honest with you, Bakuva.
Just get him home early. Yeah, like I said before, joking aside, I'm like, Dyer and Maguire together in the back line for England. England aren't going to win anything anyway, not with Southgate as manager. Just get our players back as early as we can in as good a shape as we can. See if we can get something out of the season after all. But World Cup for me is one that should never have happened. The timing's horrendous. Yeah. The choice of nations horrendous. It's just everything about it's bad. Let's just make sure our players get out of it unscathed.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope all of our players come back unscathed. With Spurs, I have a funny feeling it's not going to happen, but we'll wait and see. Dark So G says, apparently Liverpool faces City in the Carabao Cup, so my father's worried they might lose to City and then Madrid. Laughing my ass off. We need to win today. And Milan, come on, you Spurs. Dark Sun G, I mean, look, the draw was so rigged. If you watch the 2 guys that done it, who was it? Who was it? Was it Schmeichel and some other guy? If you watch, they put their hand in, they grab a ball and then they swirl their hand to make it look like they're mixing up the balls and then taking a random one out when they actually haven't done. Go and watch the clip. Completely rigged the draws. But look, Liverpool City, I mean, it'll be what, the 23rd or the 22nd of December. So you're probably going to see them play, both of them probably play their B teams or players that haven't gone to the World Cup. They definitely won't be at full strength. But with them playing each other next round, just goes to show how much of a huge opportunity it was missed by us, because Arsenal are gone, Chelsea are gone, one of Liverpool and City be gone now. So it's just kind of like, it's a huge opportunity missed. We could have went deep, could have ended up picking up this trophy. But look, Milan, I feel confident. I'm not going to lie. I feel slightly confident. I just feel like that we actually thrive as underdogs in the Champions League. And I wouldn't put it by us to knock them out and sit there in a quarter-final, even though performances have not merited it, Dark Sun G. In Champions League, you just can't top them off. I learned that very, very quickly when we made we made the final. But big up, Dark Sun G. Look, hopefully your father, hopefully Liverpool do actually get knocked out by City and by Real Madrid, because it just means, Dark Sun G, that you can have the last laugh in that household, my man. So big up, brother. Really appreciate support. I love the way
tough draw for the outlaw, Dark Sun G. Tough draws for him. We'll see how he copes. Big up, my man.
Love it. And he also says Pierre-Emile Højbjerg deserves a raise when we extend his contract. I believe so. There was many questions asked of him. He's a good holding player. Can he go forward? What is it now? 4 goals, 3 assists. Most productive career he's had. Season he's had to date, and long may it continue. I think there's a lot more in Zinedine Salzburg as well, Dark Sun G. Hopefully we get it out of him.
He's even turned my opinion of him around. I used to think he was a weak link. He's having a good season, definitely.
Yeah. I think he probably will get a contract extension, especially if Conte sticks around. I think Højbjerg sticks around for sure. If anything, actually, what's also nice, Dark Sun G, is Højbjerg's getting a lot of attention from some other clubs too. So let's also take that too. Like Højbjerg, unless he's respected by the fan base a bit more, and unless Conte shows him that sort of faith, perhaps Højbjerg might look at some of the attention he's getting elsewhere. I don't ever want him to leave, but it's nice to see that he is being appreciated, maybe more so elsewhere by some other clubs, let's say. The likes of Real Madrid and whatnot really have a high opinion of him.
Big up, Dark Sun G, brother. Really appreciate that. Look, I do think Zinedine Salzburg deserves a raise, plus the captaincy, in my opinion. But guys, we're not going to spend too much on this one, because I do believe Emerson will be picked. But we all know Emerson is Conte's preferred favourite at right wing back. But for me, Jedi spectacular inclusion from right wing back, injected some real enthusiasm, pace, and life into that position in his cameo off the bench. Is there any chance Conte brings a surprise today and gives him a chance? And if he doesn't, is he missing the trick? We'll go to you on this one, Jack, actually, because you love Emerson. So we'll let you answer this one.
Let's be honest. We've seen enough of Doherty and Emerson this season. I'm not sure what else we're going to really learn from them. So Spence just needs to be given the chance. And it's one of the things, Dave, that you and I both will admit that Conte has gotten wrong. He's gotten the Spence situation wrong. How he should probably go about it, I think, is rotating between the likes of an Emerson and Spence, or a Doherty and a Spence, whichever one he prefers. Whatever floats his boat is good for me. But I don't think it's really logical to be picking between Doherty and Emerson each time. I'd say pick one of the micros, like Mia likes to say. Just pick one of them and go with Jed Spence too, and just have them rotate between those guys, and then just get rid of the one that you just don't want to use anymore. So I think Jed Spence, actually good opportunity for him to start today, Dave. It's not going to happen, but I think this is a good opportunity for him. He isn't going to be going to the World Cup or anything. He's barely played as it is. He's going to be going out on loan. This is an opportunity maybe for him to get some suitors for loan moves and whatnot. I thought he actually did impress when he came onto the pitch. It'd be his first time starting a game at home, which would be nice to see as well. I think there are a lot of reasons we can put up there to play Jed Spence. And it's almost gotten a bit boring, I think, at this stage, for all the reasons why we think Jed Spence should play. But are we going to see it? Probably not, which is a shame. And it's one of the things I'll happily criticize Conte for. He's gotten the Jed Spence situation wrong.
Yeah. I would like to see him come in today. I just don't think it's going to happen. People are saying, see, they're near to Brentford, which is very interesting. But look, teams have dropped points so far for us this season on weekends, and we haven't took advantage of it. So I wouldn't be getting excited by any means. But what I would say is it probably does worry you that maybe players are just kind of waiting for the World Cup. But Kuva, Ryan Sessegnon is out with a hamstring injury today, which means Conte has a selection headache at left wing back. There's a number of scenarios that could play out here. Now, we could simply just bring back Perisic, who has been operating up in the forward areas the last few games. Or we could play Matt Doherty at left wing back, or play Davies there, which means Sanchez will have to play in the back three. Which one for you is least detrimental to our hopes of 3 points?
What a question.
I mean, it does. It goes down to what's least detrimental. Surely.
What a great question.
For me, it's an easy choice. Perisic to left wing back and Richarlison to come in up front there. The other options are just not options.
What if say Richarlison isn't fit enough?
Play him anyway. I'd rather have an unfit Richarlison playing than Sanchez in the back line.
Yeah.
Doherty playing at left back. He did do it, and he did sort of okay doing it before, but no, I think the obvious one for me is just Perisic left wing back. We'll make do with the rest. Let's have horses for courses. At least he is. He looks more natural on the left than Doherty does. So Perisic one side, Doherty the other side's probably the two we're going to go with. I would imagine.
100%. Look, I'm not even going to spend time wasting talking about donkeys in across the back tree either. I think we'll all agree Dyer will be Stone Boots will be shifted out to the right. Leng Legend will be put in the middle, and then Ben Davies will come in at left side of centre back. Do not want to see anything else. If Sanchez plays, Jack could be doing the watch along on his own, because I can't watch that down anymore. But I'm not even going to spend much more time talking on them, because they just depress me. They really do. Jack, Leeds do deploy a pretty relentless press, and they have been rewarded for it on plenty of occasions this season, with Chelsea's Mendy getting pickpocketed and Joe Gomez getting red this season, which led straight to goals. Are you worried about our backline giving away the ball too easily?
Yeah, that pesky little Aronson, Dave, I think he could cause us some problems. He's quite relentless, I think, with that press that he does. And if I'm not mistaken, I do feel like I've seen some pretty easy goals for Leeds this season, rewarded from some of that pressure that they do. I think Mendy was one of them, right? Aronson just pickpocketed him and just tapped it in from there. Joe Gomez, I remember, gave the ball away from a bit of pressure too. I do believe there's some other goals that they've scored this season from some pretty bad giveaways from the back line, and they do it to pretty much any team. So there is something to be said about how they can do it to a team like Liverpool. They can do it to a team like Chelsea, who I actually think have better players on the ball than we do. So if they're able to do it to teams like that and force mistakes, I must say, Dave, I'll keep it brief, but I do pray for our back line today, because no matter who we pick, we do know we're not that great on the ball in comparison to other teams. And Leeds have had some pretty nice and easy goals scored and rewarded from that sort of energy that Rodrigo and Aronson did. I think Rodrigo, too, is pretty relentless with some of the pressure that he puts on people. So we could definitely, sadly, see ourselves giving the ball away, I think, a lot in certain moments here. And I am worried about it.
A follow-up question then, Jack. You look at Leeds, they won their last 2 games. They've also, with a win over Liverpool and Bournemouth, they've also beaten Chelsea this season and outplayed Arsenal when they played them as well in October. In all games where we have actually struggled. Is this actually a harder game for us today than many are predicting then, would you say?
In some ways, yes. I think for our attack, it's going to be a lot easier than it used to be against other teams. I don't rate Leeds' defense. There's a lot of space in behind that defense. I think their fullbacks, who are basically center backs, aren't really that great on the ball, or even that great in some of the one-on-one moments defensively. So especially if we're getting to Kulusevski today, Dave, I could see Kulusevski causing that back line a lot of problems. But like I said before, where Leeds' strength is I think that sort of press that they deploy. It's been very effective, I think, at winning the ball back for them. They have some pretty good forwards, to choose from too, that can finish the chances if given them. I think Leeds as well, they're not really the most clinical team, but they create a lot of chances. And like I said before, that Aronson kid, I think, could definitely cause us some issues, not only with the pressure, but he plays some nice through balls. He has a nice hit. He can finish it. It's just, Dave, it's a team that I think will cause us maybe more issues than we'd like to think. Of course, I think we can score against them, but our back line is our issue, and our back line is our biggest weak link. And Leeds is a team that takes advantage of weak back lines from the looks of things. So it's going to be an interesting one. It could be a bit of a basketball game.
Yeah, very, very well could be. Both backlines are very, very leaky. Spurs, I'd actually say double that number to 6. And I
Someone
didn't
counted 7.
rank 'em, didn't rate them last season when we got top 4. Didn't rate them all summer long, and I haven't rated them. In fact, I haven't actually rated them since I first started YouTube, and even long before that, to be honest with you. So it's not just coming out of the woodwork, but there are many, because a lot of people back there this summer, so he's going to be brilliant. One of England's best centre backs just isn't.
The only time in his Spurs career I rated him was that little brief period of time where Pochettino moved him into midfield. He looked all right as a holding midfielder for a while there, and then even that fell away. Posh dropped him from that as well.
Yeah, very, very true. Very, very true, actually. But Spurs, he's absolutely dog shit and useless. He just is. We just got to face facts. Oh, Bobby K, good to see you, my man. Hopefully you and the 2 kids are keeping well. He says, too many lovely people here. Good day to you all. I don't think we look so good this morning, my man. It is morning. We've got puffy eyes from not being too long out of bed, this, that, and the other. But we are trying our best, Bobby. Big yourself up, my man.
Thanks for tuning in, my man.
Hopefully you and the boys enjoy the Scotland Yard, maybe for the last time up until after Christmas. Big up, my man. Good to see you in the building. Bakuva. I mean, when we played Leeds last February, we beat them in style. Our wing-backs combined for a goal. We've seen individual brilliance from Kulu, a goal from Kane after a Zinedine Salzburg through ball. Sun was flying that day. We also got a clean sheet as well. It was a sign of how well things can actually be under Antonio Conte. Where has it gone wrong, and how do we get back to that?
I'd say it's also a sign of how erratic Leeds could be at the time as well, because they were awful as well as us being good. So the 2 went together. Having said that, Leeds could easily have scored quite a few goals against us that day. They certainly had their chances.
I think they hit the post if I remember correctly.
Yeah, could have ended up an entirely different sort of day if they had taken a few of those. Would have changed the whole outlook of the game. Where's it all gone wrong since then? You tell me. It's it just looks like players are almost exhausted all the time, don't believe in what they're doing. Very, very such a lack of confidence in so many of the players. I think the defense are a bit worried about Hugo at the moment. Everybody else is worried about the defense, and it's just dragging the whole team back. It's just panic stations whenever we try and start playing football. It's we're now going from confidently stroking the ball around like we always used to do under prime Posh years to tentative at best, sideways, backwards with a lot of stuff, and then usually ends up with launching a long ball from the likes of Dyer at the back and hoping that Sonny will run onto it. He's not there now, so there's not a lot coming. So we've suddenly developed the new knack of scoring goals, set pieces. So unless it's a set piece or a penalty, I don't fancy us scoring too many. The only other outlet really is Perisic putting in a few crosses, like Kane getting on the end of it. But today,
Kulusevski starts.
Oh, Kulusevski, yeah, that's the big hope, isn't it? If he starts, different sort of team.
Story. Yeah, different story.
Because Kulusevski, he's got the ability to beat his man as well as do all the crossing.
All the things that we were missing that you were saying.
Yeah.
Well, let's get on to talking about Richie and Kulu, because if they are both fit to start, it really does sort of change our formation, maybe our approach to the game, etc., etc. So Richarlison and Kulusevski, when I've done the readabouts, many are actually predicting that they will return from injury today into the starting lineup. Now, does that mean it will actually see us lead to 3-5-2? That does not work, in my opinion, and revert back to the 3-4-3 that does work with Kane spearheading the attack? Or will we see a 3-5-2 with Richarlison and Kulusevski playing 45 minutes each if they're not fit enough?
I could see it being Kulusevski starting no matter what. I think it is going to be a 3-4-3 today. I think Conte would rather play the 3-4-3, especially maybe against a team like Leeds, where we just spoke about that back line for them. If you had three forwards coming up against that back line, more chances for you to score. I think he'll go Kulusevski right wing. if he doesn't play Kane, let's say if he does actually want to rest Kane, he could go Richarlison through the middle, play Bryan Hill on the left wing. So he could do Bryan Hill left wing, Richarlison through the middle, Kulusevski at right wing. How I actually seeing it go today, Dave, is probably actually Richie on the left wing starting with maybe Kane starting at striker and then Kulusevski over at right wing. And maybe he'll try to get up early, try to score some goals sooner rather than later with the more attacking power that he has to choose from. So I think it's probably two options, if anything, with that 3-4-3.
100%. And Coover, for you, my man?
Sorry, I was just miles away for a second there looking at the latest scores. I just noticed Brentford winning at City.
No, that'll do.
Who do you think is starting up front today? Yeah, give him another question, Dave.
The 3-3-3-4-3. Yeah, 3-4-3. Yeah. I'm sorry, I was listening. I'll just kind of I think we're going to start with 3-4-3. It is Conte's preferred way of playing.
Yeah,
I think if they're good enough to be training now, he'll probably risk Kulusevski and Richarlison starting. Bit of guile, bit of creativity on the right hand side, bit of hard graft and aggressive running on the left. I think it might just give us a bit of energy in the attacks. That Richarlison on the left will also help Perisic out as in the wing back position, just by getting through that workload. He will chase back. He will run his socks off of the team. It will work.
I just think if we go back to the 3-4-3, it just gives everyone a fresh enthusiasm going into the game. Freshens it up. It'll probably give the players something fresh, a new feeling as well. I do think get back to the 3-4-3 today, and let's take it from there. Phil P says we should rename White Hart Lane Railway Station to
Dave, I can hear some feedback.
Sound okay to me?
1, 2.
It's fine here, David.
Okay,
yeah.
never mind.
No, it's grand. I do think there was I could hear a little bit of feedback. I was just going to plow on. But anyway, it's grand now. I don't have to
it's Jack's laptop from 1963 that's doing it.
I don't have to start MCing, I don't want to impress everybody, so I'll hold that back.
Interrupted your flow.
We are expecting Kulusevski to start today. Just a general question out there, boys. Does that mean then we can actually expect a lot more exciting play going forward because the creativity that he brings?
Everything we've been missing is in the form of Kulusevski, Dave. Everything. Creativity, composure, not losing the ball so easily, not trampoline boots, concrete boots, just everything is the opposite with Kulusevski. We've been crying out for him. Even sort of speaks to how much people have been convinced by Hill. It just shows Hill offers something slightly similar to what a Kulusevski does, but that just shows people are desperate for Hill to come in, which I think actually is more of a compliment of Kulusevski than it even is of Hill, because it just shows how desperate we've been for a guy like Kulusevski to come back into the team. He brings the best out of Sonny. He brings the best out of Kane. He's able to take the pressure off of them in terms of creativity, in terms of being able to set up goals for others. It allows Kane to behave more like a striker instead of like a number 10, I think, all the time. I think in games this season, we found ourselves, right, Dave, where Kane has to either be the scorer and the creator at the same time, which isn't always possible against very good teams. But when you do have a Kulusevski who can be that extra creative outlet, it allows Kane to not always have to drop deep or not always have to hold up the ball and be that creative force. He can be maybe that threat, to the back line. He can make those runs to threaten defenders. And I don't know, Dave, he just makes life easy on everybody. He even brings the best out of Doherty. He brings the best out of Emerson. Kulusevski is just simply somebody that we have depended on and have been desperate for this whole season. Honestly, so many things are going to change. It's almost countless how many things are going to change with him back.
Yeah, I really do hope so. Kuva, do you think we'll have a bit more creativity, a bit more flair about us rather than having to get the ball out wide and spring it into the box?
Oh, well, Kulusevski back. I mean, what can I say about what him being back?
Where's the lotion?
Just a little joke for Bobby K there, because it's his usual one. So like Jack says, it's everything we've been missing. Flair, creativity, eye for a pass. He's just a bloody good player.
Yeah,
a joy to watch him in full flow is. It's one of those highlights of the day. we need more players like this. Not when it's desperate for him to be in the team. I just don't think we even look like we're competing when he's not there.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think it's the simple things he does. Even if the guy gets the ball out wide, he's not looking just to swing it in. He can run in, cut it back if you need him to be. He just provides different options and different opportunities for people. I can't wait to see him back personally. But look, last question, Coover. We'll throw this to you and then we're going to end off. But Harry Kane is the first Spurs player to have scored in 6 consecutive top-flight home fixtures since Martin Chivers had a run of 7 from August to November in 1971. Can Kane equal Shivers' record today?
Yeah, go on. Of course he can. He's going to, because, damn it, we need at least a positive result today. A few goals and put a few smiles on faces, because I don't want to be going into this World Cup on the back of another loss. It just can't. It's unbearable. Let's have some football today. Kulusevski to entertain us. Kane to bang him in. Let's have a brace from him, and that'll do the trick. I think he can do it. Harry Kane's a great player. I don't understand how anybody ever doubts him. He's just been nothing short of sensational for us.
Yeah, he has been. I don't get how people can doubt him either. I think it's absolutely madness. Last question, actually, boys. I skipped this one. If we do go at the 3-4-3 today, right, it obviously means one of the midfielders has to come out. So you look at Bissouma, I think the guy, I think he's looking so much more closer to the player that we signed from Brighton. Some lovely touches on the ball, good at manoeuvring it in tight spaces. You've got Bentancur, who I would actually say has been the best of the three over the last period. The guy's been absolutely phenomenal. At times, he's the one that's leading the press, sprinting 40, 50 yards just to try and close someone down. And then you've got Zinedine Salzburg, who is our most creative, 4 goals, 3 assists. So if we do go 3-4-3, what one gets left out? We'll start with you, Jack, and we'll get Kuva's answer as well.
I would love to see Bissouma. I would love to see Bissouma start in a 3-4-3. We've seen him grow much more comfortable in that 3-5-2, playing in the middle of that. He's looked so much more comfortable. He's looked like the Bissouma that we saw over at Brighton. I think it's time to give him a chance in the 3-4-3. Of course, the last time I think we saw him play kind of sort of in a pivot in the 3-4-3 was the West Ham game. He had good moments, but then it sort of fell apart for him after a while, and he really became a shadow of himself. So this is a great chance where he has a bit of confidence going into this one. I'd love to see him start. And I'd maybe put Bentancur and Bissouma maybe to start with this one. Perhaps throw Højbjerg on later. I think Bentancur is on better form at this moment in time than Højbjerg is. I'd like the idea of sort of playing them separately so that we don't depend on those two together nearly as much. I'd maybe throw Bentancur in alongside Bissouma. If we're in a good position, take Bentancur off, throw Højbjerg on.
Interesting. I disagree. I want Bentancur and Salzburg. I think if our wing backs aren't going to provide that creativity, you've got to have it through the middle. And on that basis, I would start Zinedine Salzburg. Although I would say Bissouma has probably performed better than him over the last few games. So it'll be interesting. I definitely think there is a shout for what you've asked for there, Jack. Kuva, who are you going with in the middle if it is a 2 today and one has to drop out?
I would imagine if we're going 3-4-3, I think it's going to be Højbjerg and Bentancur. But I will say I'm quite happy for Bissouma to play instead of Højbjerg. I've got no problems with that. The centre of midfield is not the problem with this team. I think we're good there. It's everything else around it that's the problem. If it's down to me, I'll just drop Dyer out and play all 3 of them in midfield.
Yeah. Look, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we have to endure him that a little bit longer. But knowing him, he'll probably, just assist another player today and say, "Oh well, you come on, guys, you can understand. I'm going to the World Cup." No, I can't understand Moonstones. But anyway, look, what we'll do is we're going to get some score predictions and find out where people can find you if they want more. Kuva, we'll start with you, my man. Give us a score prediction today. You don't have to give us a positive one if you don't believe it either. Give me the score prediction you believe, my man, and where are you next, where people can follow you?
We'll start off saying I'll be on Bob Spur TV tonight, in the wall, 11:15. And score prediction, I'm going to go for a the way we're playing, I'm just going to go for a 3-2 Leeds win.
3-2 Leeds win.
Yeah, I'll just don't have it. No, come on, we're home. We've got to do it. Let's go for 3-2 Spurs win. 3-2 either way. Let's have a bit of excitement and try and end on a positive.
Love that. I love that. And Jack, what's your score prediction? Where can people find you, my man?
I'm 3-2 as well, actually. And so, Kuva, don't think that's a ridiculous score prediction. I do think there's going to be goals in this one. I mean, it's I'll say it for the 1,000th time, two atrocious defenses going at it today. I think there's going to be goals in it no matter what. It could be where Spurs go 2-0 down, we end up winning 3-2. Could be where we go 2-0 up, Leeds end up winning 3-2. There's so many different possibilities on the line. I'm going 3-2 to us, though, Dave. And I think a lot of people have gone with 3-1 as well. It's just goals in this for me. I'd be surprised if there's less than 2 goals or fewer than 2 goals.
Do you know what, guys? For me, I've got 4-4 in my head the last couple of days. But I'm going to go 4-3 Tottenham. That's what I'm going to go with. I do think there'll be goals today. Both defenses are crap. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. Look, I want to be surprised by that back line. I want to see a decent performance. But then even if I do, it just asks even more questions. Why can they do it when they want and not when they want? So but at the end of the day, I do hope Harry Kane scores a couple of goals going into the World Cup. Hopefully he equals Martin Chibber's record of scoring 7 on the bounce at home as well. And I would love to see a goal or 2 for Kulu. I cannot wait. But guys, we're going to end it there. We will be back here at 2:30 for the watch along. Jack, of course, will get it going. Myself and Sean will flood in a bit later on. But guys, we've built a good crew up until now. Let's do it one last time for 6 weeks. We can all take a break, more emotionally and mentally, and we can get ourselves back here then for Boxing Day. But let's get the job done today. Let's all enjoy one last game.
David, very quickly, if you really think it's going to be a 4-3, put at least £1 on it. It's worth 80 to 1.
Ooh. Might have to fly down to the bookies. It's right below me anyway, so I might have to take a quick trip down there or else send the missus down. I might have to do that for sure. That's definitely one. I might even put £2 on it, Kuva. That'd be nice. But look, what I will say to everybody, see you back here at 2:30. Last game for 6 weeks. Let's get behind the boys one last time. Hopefully they don't let us down. As always, come on,
you Spurs. And Conte we trust. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
See you later, everybody.